What happens when you get one island, 10 college freshmen, and 20 hot grandmas over 70 letting their silver hair down and taking out their dentures for no-holds-barred hotness? Get your artificial hips ready as each freshman finds out what an experienced lady can do with a bit of Bengay and a trick hip. The mimosas are flowing and the moo-moos are dropping on Gilf Island, and we finally get to see which grandma makes the best cookies. Tune in and find out what happens after 7 o'clock and the night lights turn on. Brought to you by Max Lube Personal Lubricant, made from genuine repurposed U.S. Space Shuttle landing gear lubricant. They look like, by the way.
There we go.
If they're not moving, they look fine. But the moment one of those fucking eight-legged centipede-looking pandas try to move her, yes, they look like.
Why not just make the Half-Life 3 cupcake and sell it to everybody, right? Even if it leaves a terrible taste in your mouth, people will still have bought your cupcake. And the analogy breaks at some point, so bear with me, right?
And this one time, my mom bought me a shirt, and I was in high school, and I'd been powerlifting and then stopped. So I was like fucking 280 or something like that. And they were buying for 190-pound kid. So it was like a medium. And I put that on, and it was like a sausage roll with legs, man. And my mom would not stop demanding I put it on. And I'm like, put it on, put it on. Your grandma wants to see it. This might be her last year alive. And I'm like, well, you're not going to die and have the last memory in her life be of me squeezed into this thing like a toothpaste. He'd have dinosaurs delivering your shit. What if all you heard was a scratching at your door, and it's like,
it has really...
Why should you join the ACG YouTube membership? Listen, it helps the channel. Sure, I could pretend that some company's pre-built PC is awesome, even if it just accidentally happens to be that I got it from them in the last 3 weeks. You don't want that. I could also open up an OnlyFans, which just me naked eating Uncrustables and rubbing my beard against the mic. No one wants that either, because it'd be terrifying. For $5, you can become a YouTube member. I'd probably save you that by warning you away from Alakind's gun, or maybe Gene Rain, or maybe you watch the reviews. I don't know why, because they suck, but maybe you do. If you join now, we don't have to worry about those things. You also get access to the Patreon when it comes to the Discord. So become a YouTube member now, before I start having to put surprise oral sex-looking thumbnails on my reviews. And trust me, no one else wants that. So power up with ACG. Besides, it's for sure better than those POS earbuds YouTubers try to sell you. Why? What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast, number 600. 600
big
total
600.
podcasts. Yeah. And it's nice, man. 600 podcasts of excellence right before gaming dies and falls apart. So 600. It's a good place to end the podcast. Gaming's over. Might as well just...
It's been a good run.
Might as well chalk it up, man. Yeah, it was good times. We had good times. We had bad times. And now we have times that you have to buy in different pieces if you hope to actually have full times. But what that means is we'll be talking about Xbox and PlayStation physical media. I'll start it out. Welcome to everybody who's new or a long-term family member. A lot of inbreeding in here. Appreciate it. A lot of people bringing in their friends. Hey, it's the way it goes. I'm good with it. I appreciate it. We got some people who come in. They're like, hey, man, I'm a friend of so-and-so. And they say that the patron and the Discord is good to go to. And then yesterday, we had about 15 people in Patreon conversation, and it got squirrely. It got squirrely. And Solar pops in, and the first words he hears is somebody saying, in a genteel, somewhat relaxed voice, dude, have you ever seen a super bad prolapsed asshole?
Wow.
It was about EMT and rescue and the worst things you have seen. It started about like the layman jobs, like, you know, the salt of the earth jobs. But holy crap, I didn't know he had popped into chat. That comment came, we were laughing, and I just hear him explode. He's like, what a time to come into the chat. But we were actually talking about games, and we were talking a great deal about the games. Like it was all about the games. It's just that, you know, you snip something, right? That conversation would have been snipped right there, and people would have been like, dang, what the hell's going on here? This is crazy.
Sometimes you end up in weird places.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Hey, sometimes you do. Londoner sitting with a stone cold America.
Yeah.
Bald eagles brought me here. I don't know what brought you to London, but I was delivered here. They don't have storks.
I thought you were going to make a joke about my hairstyle.
No.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm bald. I'll give you a moment to absorb that.
Are you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've followed or challenged. You're just challenged, man. That's just all challenged. Yeah. So we'll be talking about gaming. We'll be talking about the future. Listen, when you come here, I'm going to tell you right now, as we discuss things, that we will say what we like or dislike, but then there is some discussion towards, regardless if I like something, what's happening, which is sort of what today's conversation, some parts of today's conversation are going to be had. So sometimes you realize your own personal power to affect and adjust massive multi-billion corporations across the world, all separated, who can't even adjust one another, is difficult. But we will talk about that. We will talk about our thoughts on all of that stuff. We also have some game announcements. Then you got Black Flag next week, as Johnny reminded me, which we're going to jump over there, which that's going to be awesome.
We're going to dive in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like a pirate. Yep. Pirates didn't have anybody walk the plank. That was from Peter Pan, which sort of sucks. Sort of destroys. Really? Yeah.
Myth.
Yeah. The other somewhat technical, they say it's a fact. It's possible it happened, but the name Windy wasn't used before Peter Pan. So just, wasn't used as a person's name before Peter Pan. I like how the yellow goes into the green screen sometimes and looks like look at the massive dude. So yesterday I was shot while saving some people. Oh, damn it. It came back. I was going to pretend that was a war wound. Yeah. What's everybody playing in chat? What are you enjoying? What's the fam playing? ACG, thoughts on a new recent interview. The Last of Us actor Troy Baker has said he'd be interested in returning for new stories, including a prequel exploring the relationship with Joel and Tommy. I mean, The Last of Us is going to have other stuff. So,
yeah.
In some way.
Endless remakes and resurfacing.
Endless, repetitive, over and over remakes. Yeah, for sure. For sure. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, you could definitely do it. They did some big time jumps in those shows too, and in the games. So, do some in betweens.
Quick by the by, Windy sounds like a stripper name. True or no? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but once you start getting into like Windy or Autumn, it's a little earth muffin-y, which means a little closer to the earth. So then it is a little easier to like slip into either they're wearing the floral dress and they're going to every Renaissance fair, or they're not wearing a dress and they're going to the pole. They're dancing the pole.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're dancing the pole at the Mammary Palace, right? You're just like, oh, this is a place where you learn how to remember things? No, Mammary, dude. Not memory. Mammary Palace. Different place. The Bush Company. The Alaskan Bush Company. That's where she'll be dancing. Yeah, a lot of those names sound like that, but I've met Wendy's before who definitely, up and up business people. But maybe, who knows, maybe on the side, maybe behind the scenes, it's like your foregone conclusion, like your name has a true power over you. Maybe she was on one day, during the day, she was the banker. During the night, she was banking cash.
Fair.
Yeah,
probably too many movies on my side. My bad. Too many portrayals.
Yeah. You're like, can cars really transform? Because Michael Bay made this movie, I heard of.
Exactly.
So what have you been playing this week before we get into everything being chopped out of our future stuff that we're going to be buying?
Mm-hmm.
What games have you been enjoying and doing?
Been playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake. Been playing some First Light 007.
Sweet.
Oddly enough, I'm not really enjoying the gameplay too much in 007. It's been a bit hit or miss for me.
Right.
It's we kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's not got it doesn't have the chops of Hitman. And what it does isn't really enough to like get me engaged, if that makes sense. Because it's more of a light version of that type of game. So it becomes a bit surface level, in my opinion. So it's been a bit rough, a bit kind of mixed as an experience. It's very polished, but it's also kind of lacking a little bit of depth at times.
I mean, would you say you like it?
Yeah, I would say overall, yeah, I've had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's not something that I probably will finish.
Okay.
But I would say it's been worth my cash already, you know.
All right. Makes sense. Bitlerus says, playing Gothic 1 Remake and friends are hopping into WoW, so started that to see how that goes. Wow. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. By the way, I also played that Mecha Chameleon game I talked to you about, the hide and seek game. It's one of those, like, what they call it, friend slop now.
Mm-hmm.
But you jump in with some friends, and like some people are hiding and they have to like paint themselves. So they're gonna be hard to find in an environment. And then the other set of friends are hunting for you, and they have to find you and shoot you. And yeah, it's actually really fun. It is very fun because like the way you paint yourself against the backgrounds, and you find like cool poses you can use and stuff to hide. It's oddly engaging.
I think it makes sense that it is. I mean, that's the type of game it's set up to be, right? Like that sort of
great party game.
Twitch streamer game with a good mechanics that, you know, if somebody was watching and they were making another game, might look at, and you don't take the exact thing, but you sort of look around at that mechanic and go, how does disguise work in the next game we're doing? Can we do something with that? Which I think is actually pretty intelligent. I have been playing Stay Alive, man. It's hot. It's
the
rough.
Game of life.
The game of life. Yeah. I'm sure everybody else in chat's felt the same way, but it's been so hot that we start like old people. We sound about 90 in the voice chat, where everybody comes in the voice chat and is like, how hot is it there?
Talking about the weather.
Yeah, like getting your black coffee and sitting down at like a booth at your local Sherry's being like, hey, man, hey, Bill, it's been a while. You know, man, this heat. You're like, yeah, this heat's hot. It is. It's hot, man. And you just go, and we did. I do that almost every chat. We talk a little bit about the heat, but it is pretty bad. And it's sucked my energy, and then it's destroyed the sleep schedule I used to have, which was bad, to a worse one last night. It was just like, And I have ACs, man. But, you know, unless you have like a ton at your house where it's really moving the air, at some point, the world wins. And that it's sort of winning in my house. Like, I usually hide in a room for a while, hoping that it stays cool, and then that battle is lost at some point, and I know it's lost. I feel that I've lost it, and then from that point on, it's like, okay, what do you do? Cold shower works. Definitely works. That can keep you, make you feel better for a while. Yeah,
it grounds you down, or grinds you down a little bit.
It does.
Especially in your case, you got dogs and stuff. That must make it a bit tougher as well.
Yeah, and one is, I mean, yeah, we think he's a Belgian, which we weren't really looking for, and they didn't know what he was. So he looked like a black lab with a little, a bit of Belgian Malamute or Malamute in him. But anyway, long story short, I don't think it's a little anything other than that, and that is a high stress, super high intelligent dog, and it was not 100% what I wanted, but I want him. But I wasn't looking for that breed. So it has been a nightmare. Just constantly, man. Be 3 a.m, my brain will be like, alert, money going down the tube, alert. And I'll wake up and look over, and he's just looking at me chewing through the brand new HDMI cable that I just got. You know, you're like, oh my God. And then he knows if you throw him something, he knows that's a distraction, man. He's like the kid you don't want going at the magician's stand who knows the tricks and is like, actually, you just palm that card. His dog is like, you'll give it to him and he'll be like, and then he'll just look back at the item you don't want him to go to. And you're like, fuck, man, come on.
Yeah.
I need to get some of that bitter root spray where you spray it on stuff and it's supposed to be really bitter. But I have a feeling he's just one of those dogs to be like, fuck it, man. I know this is going to cause Jeremy angst. I'm going to chew on it anyway.
Yeah, or they might dig it. It's like sour Skittles.
God, like me with like lemon juice.
It hurts, but you keep eating it.
I saw a YouTube short where they were drinking lemon juice shots, and they were like, and I was looking at it going, what the fuck, dude? I chug out of a lemon juice jug and don't even go like, they're like, you know, a little sweating, making their little faces. Wussies. That's the only strength I have. It's the only superpower, being able to drink some lemon juice. Not a very good superpower. It's only good at parties.
I have a little thing to say about number 600.
Oh,
First
of
of
the
all,
podcast?
yeah, real quick. First of all, it's been a great run. I appreciate you and the guys for the chats. It's been awesome. An amazing checkpoint for me every week to kind of, sit down and talk about what's going on. But I wanted to ask from you, there was this quote from The Office where the guy said, like, so I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember it exactly, but I wish there was a way to know you're in the golden days before they
The
are
shit
past.
falls apart.
And then you kind of have to look back and notice after the fact. And do you feel like we are past the golden days of gaming and like stuff that we've talked about in the podcast? Do you feel like there was a bigger peak like in the past in terms of excitement talking about stuff or playing games in general? Or are we kind of at the best right now?
I think that it's very easy for there's a couple things. It's very easy for people to say the past was better, but if you look back and you understand nostalgia and all that stuff, or if you play old games, you're like, nah, I couldn't return a game. It was $60 out of my pocket, and I didn't even have reviewers other than a magazine that came 3 months after the game did. There were those kind of issues. Then I lived through the crash of the Atari. I lived through the Sega dying. Nintendo, Sony screwing each other over, which created the PlayStation. They never felt as big as this, but this doesn't feel it's not a cop out, but this isn't just games. So, which is sort of what I want to talk about today too, is like it's not just games. So to give some people some information, we'll go through some financial information and some information statistically that is like you certainly can blame any company you want because they're a part of it in that they're selling you something. But there is a very distinct thing. And I do think that the golden age of this time frame, of your console time frame, that is gone. It is going away. The golden age of the console almost went away another time too, which was the Xbox original and the price of the PlayStation, which happened 2 times where they sold the PlayStation really expensive. Yep. And then they sort of righted. But they righted because there was areas for them to suck down costs and figure a way to be a really good differentiator between a console and a PC. I also want to say it's the saddest thing, and the reason why it's easy to look at this and be like, man, this is the death knell. It won't be the death knell, because gaming didn't even die when they said it died. There was still trash stuff, still people trying little things. It was like this ebb. But one of the things that I think sucks so much is that if you were to say, think about it this way. If you or I worked on an oil derrick, we worked on an oil rig, and a year ago, we go to our jobs, and you have your plans and your ideas with the money that you have, and then you're teleported a year into the future, and nothing has risen in power, but every single thing is 3 to 6 times what it cost. And it would be a shock because you didn't go up 3 to 6 times in your income, because these are not connected. And that can feel like the end of everything for people, because we all do this. We all look towards the future. It's why look at GTA. And then you even had people saying GTA will be a PlayStation, pack-in, because it's still connected to the console. It's still connected. How soon is GTA coming to the PC? So I think it's a death knell for affordable gaming in the way that people have been accustomed to it for a long time. It will drop after a while. But I don't think, I told you this, I don't in any way, shape, or form believe it would be possible for them to drop to the old prices. Not only once they start getting that money and the costs for them start to go down, they're going to want to eat up the bills that they had to get to that point. So let's say in a year it drops, they're not going to be like, okay, cool, we'll drop. They're going to look back at their fiscal year down. And go, we need to make some of that up, so we're going to leave this price at this, or we're going to drop it to appear like good guys, right? So, I would say...
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would say the console, I would say it also started, there's 6 or 7 things. PC replaced console a bit, and PC is notoriously less communal than consoles because it doesn't have a club other than the PC Master Race, which, ignoring the creepy connotations that already has, You had your fans of your Nintendo and your Sony and your Xbox, and regardless of the ire, there was a community to them, and that community had already started to fracture down, and then we just had too many changes, man. I mean, think about the changes we've had. It's worldwide changes in gaming that just didn't make sense, and this is before the RAM. I mean, Xbox games on PlayStation, PlayStation games on PC. You saw PC games or PlayStation games being shut down, massively shut down. You know what's weird though? I'm always gonna use this. It's not connected, I bet. I feel like I know the game that started all this. Bear with me here, because I feel like, I swear to you.
Okay.
I swear to you, man, it feels like this. I feel like the first time I looked at gaming and went like, this is sort of the nexus point of the beginning of a different time, was weirdly enough Days Gone on the PlayStation. Because it had got through Sony's very particular expectation group and high level games that they had been releasing for so many years, to a point of being just really an almost guaranteed by anybody who liked, whether it be the fiction or the form factor. And I remember seeing it and playing it and thinking to myself, this can't possibly be a Sony game. In fact, it would have been hard to say that was an Xbox game. And I was playing it. You know, you're playing it going, what does this mean? And what it means is multiple failures cascaded across companies and contractors to allow one of the premier makers to get this out and think it was okay. And you could go back as far as, say, Unity. I think Unity was Ubisoft, which is a little different, but you could also go back and look at Microsoft's the Master Chief Collection. And you look at that and you go, what's happening that we can take the best of the best that we're known for and purposely, without any real need as this company, black market forever? I mean, it's a joke. It's been a joke forever. It did kill a lot of people's idea of Halo. I mean, it's like, oh, return to blah, blah, blah. In fact, when you hear about remakes, you never hear about collection. Do you know what you hear about? The 360 one, that you were able to switch the graphics. You don't hear the collection one.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And so, I would say the golden era, and then you add in social media, you add in the paranoia, the ire. I saw somebody yesterday finally. Dude, I felt like I was at one of those Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, where the one guy will never talk, and he's like, fuck you, and I'm doing fine, and if I was you, I'd leave your wife because, you know, somebody's balls are in her mouth. You know, like just a guy who's super aggressive. To finally, he basically broke down yesterday, and he was like, yeah, actually, it is that bad. He was talking about Cyberpunk day one. He wasn't talking about it now because it's really good now. He was like, he had just, for the longest period of time, he was like, oh, no. And he played it on a base PlayStation. So you can't even say, oh, he's playing on the PC. So that burns you because you hold on to it, right? You go, how did that happen? And every major manufacturer now has had a massive, unbelievably noticeable crush that is really surprising. Like Redfall to me isn't that big because it wasn't even really Microsoft. That's Arcane. It didn't turn out. Concord being turned around, $200 million, and they just say, we're turning that off. Yeah, that's the end of something. That's the end of something. It's the end, I think, also of companies trying to hold something up. The money's not there. They're not going to lift it up, you know, and say, you are the slowest runner. We're going to hire a coach to train you so you can get as fast, at least, as the next slowest runner. They're just like,
you're
gone.
You're tiger food now.
Yeah.
We're
What do you
using
think?
you too.
I mean, what do you think? You entered 10 years, 20 years, after me. Like,
you know, the way I feel about it is there are different lenses to look at the whole picture through. When I look at games that are coming out continually every year, I continue to be really impressed. And I love the games that are coming out constantly. Looking at this year, last year, the year before, you know, the last however many years you can name. So in that sense, I think we're still in some kind of a golden age for games.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that we peaked with the cost thing. Like some years ago, before this whole thing started. Maybe 2020 was like a great time where you could, for like PC enthusiasts, maybe not enthusiast, but more like someone who wants a gaming system. You had so many options because you had the consoles at a decent price, and then you could put together some really good PCs. Let's put aside like the GPU pricing, because that was already starting to get pretty crazy with 3090s and above. But even then, you could build a really good gaming PC if you didn't want just the highest graphics, right? If you went for like a 1080p or 1440p machine,
yeah,
you could get something really good for maybe $1,000. And now we're looking at Steam Machine for what, $1,400 without a controller, which is like the ultimate spit on your face, and not in a good
way.
Friday night kind. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that for sure, that kind of ship has sailed, and it's a bit sad to look back and even to think that maybe it won't be possible for people to build their own PCs in the future. I still think it will, but it will be much more of a PC enthusiast market, I think. People willing to, put in a lot of money into it versus people who are just looking for a gaming system getting into PCs. So that part is a bit sad, but I do think it's also what you focus on. And for me, it's, again, like the games coming out are awesome. So yeah, gotta like try to focus on the positive, I guess. But it is a bit sad.
You can focus on the positive if you're on the Titanic and you're near a lifeboat. That's positive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I also don't think gaming would just go away because you have mobile, you have billions of dollars going in. We also, to add to this, if anybody doesn't know, Comcast is divesting themselves of a massive number of companies that are under them. And most of those companies have hinted they want to put their money into games because they don't have an AI connection like a lot of other companies you may see. They want to put their money into games. And so that's billions of dollars that would go back into games. Something, the Saudi deal that fell apart with Embracer that may help gaming. I mean, that's all you need. Like, people do realize. You look at 1 million, you think, oh, I'd love to have that. You look at 30 million, a company would love to have that. You look at 1 billion, an industry would love to have that, right? That's the easiest way to really think about it. And if you can get 1 billion back into the industry, you are talking about people working for years on a game. And we'll talk about the closures as well. We'll talk about the reasons why. I think we all know the reasons why, and they're probably not. They're probably some of what you think and some of what you don't. But I do want to point something out, though, man. Everybody, dude, this isn't tooting my own. I don't even know who to say, but there's got to be somebody out there that, I'm sure other people do this, but there are certain rumors that you see pop. If you see somebody not get in an argument, but like put a foot down and be like, no, the person who says no is usually right. And there was this big rumor about Obsidian. And like, that was one of the reasons why I was like, no. Like, it's well known that that's not only a no, it's that you could say the companies remaining will be doing more with bigger teams. There's that percolation that's going on in there. But you see these teams that haven't released a game in 7 or 8 years, or 6 or 7 years, they might be on the chopping block, or they might be on the let's discuss our future together as a second party or even a third party. But it's pretty easy to just be like, oh, yeah, it's definitely every company is leaving. And you're like, that's no.
Yeah.
And I get it, because it's dark. It's dark. You don't want people going. You don't want. And what's funny is you'll see the same thing. You'll see somebody say, I hate this company. I hate this company. Don't like them. Don't like their games. The moment they might be leaving, people are like, oh, my God, I got to go play their games, which I've loved all my life. The amount of State of Decay love I told you last week is just hilarious. Like, from the people who were like, State of Decay is terrible. Same thing with Forza on PlayStation. Oh, Forza isn't even a racing game. Forza's the number one. This is one of the best games ever. Because it came on their system. That kind of stuff happens. We rue what we lose, even if we never had it, because you're bothered by the act of possibly not being able to get it, which is what's happening right now. To flip that on its edge, is what's happening right now with the price of everything. There are people who are ruining not having 128 gigs of RAM who never in their wildest dreams was going to need or buy 128 RAM. Yeah. And that's it's not even FOMO really, because you're not really missing out because the majority of people don't have that. That's what's even crazier. Like, you can't just be like, oh, it's the FOMO. It's like, not a lot of people got 128, dude. That's a wild number. That's an influencer number with Premiere, running Discord and streaming and rendering a video level. That's not
all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I've done it. Yeah. I mean, I've done it. I've rendered a video while you and I were playing games. So it's like, if you can, you can. It's an efficiency. Yeah. It's not a requirement. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think we see great games. It's just that the ability to play those great games as the continued games get greater and greater is going to be more and more expensive as well. So in the old days, it was about choice and maybe some providence, but there's some choice there. And then it's now gone to it's almost chance, like for example, sales. Or chance, you go to eBay and find a video card that's cheap. Or chance, you get on the Steam machine lottery that they did.
Lottery.
Even though, dude, the number of people I'm hearing celebrate that they didn't get in the lottery when they saw the price and some of the reviews was high. Nobody wants that either, because that would have been more money in gaming. I mean, I don't have to be happy with the hardware or the price to say, like, I'd rather have people buying stuff, putting the money back into games so that, that recharges. Yeah, man. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. That's what I meant in the title when I was like, and in the thumbnail, whether it be money or whether it be the companies, you can sort of look at that thumbnail of the PlayStation and the Xbox being chopped up into pieces to rebuild whatever weird items we get later, but the industry's having the same thing. I mean, it's all at once. And you could maybe say that hasn't happened before, where you're like, this many companies, engaging and some are just bad luck. Bungie. I mean, when I say bad luck, I mean bad timing. They could have fallen apart two deals ago, but it just so happens that hope goes away. Because I had a hope for Destiny 3. Legit, guys. I mean, I don't care if I didn't love Destiny 2. I had a great deal of hope for Destiny 3. So that going away is one more hope you check off your list, right? And if everything's being chopped up, and things that are chopped up are good when they're ingredients to put in a soup, but you don't play a soup, man. I don't think we want to experience gaming as a soup. We want it sort of like main ingredient, side ingredient. So maybe you've got your PlayStation or Xbox as your prime. Maybe you've got a Steam machine as your secondary. Maybe you got a couple controllers. That's your meal. That's what's going to sustain you for 5, 10, 5 years, 8 years. Right now, you're getting Oliver saying, "Can I have some more, sir?" And it's just a marrow soup. It's just a bunch of shit flopped in front of you, and you have to figure out like where everything's landing. Yeah, I would say you are right on there's great games. I would tell people to hold off. Just there's going to be a ton of games. We just saw one big company remove their, I don't know if you saw this, but one of the guys who had just done their recommended specs had it at 64 gigs for RAM. And with the changes coming up, they're making changes behind the scenes, dropped it to 32, which is still quite high. Still higher than the norm, I guess. So, yeah, it'd just be one of those things. The Toshi Fury TikTok says, first stream, I've been listening to you guys 2021. Back when I was stocking shelves overnight at 19. You guys have gotten me through so many bad days and long days at work. Dude, hey. Nice. That's fucking nice to hear, man. That's heartfelt as shit. Go. That's, yeah. Yeah, definitely. It is. That's fucking awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I don't even ask for those things. And when they do happen, it's just one of those surprises when somebody's like, dude, I was having a hard time and you guys made me laugh. And I'm like, that's pretty much, just pretty much all you can ask for. I mean, or if somebody's like, you guys made me think, that's another one. If somebody says you guys made me angry, I'm like, well, that's an emotion. I guess I'll take that one too.
Better than indifference.
Better than indifference. Yeah. We get that too. Some people will be like, oh, you guys aren't reading the news, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. We ain't we will, but we'll pick what we're going to read. We're like, everybody's got a podcast.
You know what I think as well is that we might be on the verge of some big adaptations that people have to do, both developers, but also like console companies and stuff. Because the fact is, if you don't have any resistance, you're going to keep going the way you're going, right?
Yeah.
So it's the fact that you're running into resistance or issues or friction. That's what causes you to have to adapt and evolve in some ways. So my hope, and maybe this is a bit too optimistic, too out there, but my hope is that these limitations with supply, with maybe the dev cycle is getting so long, right? They're hitting like some threshold where it might take like 5-6 years to develop a damn game. And like those constraints are gonna really motivate people to like look for adaptations, like look for better ways to do things, and maybe some breakthroughs could come from that. And like just the ingenuity of people faced with those problems that we don't see otherwise, you know, if we don't have those issues. So I do hope that that's maybe like a light at the end of the tunnel we can hope for, is that there is some kind of like new form that all of the industry can take where it's possible to do things in better ways overall. So
yeah,
I don't know. How do you feel about that? Is it just ever growing? You know, dev cycles, prices, and everything is just always going up, or is there a way to find a more stable state?
No, if you take the top tier AAAs, they're going up. But if you take like some of the smaller companies, some companies that are pretty smart on their financials, they're able to do a cheaper game. But they are in the millions, and I don't think people just realize how many it does. So somebody will say this game costs 200 million, so surely this game that costs 20 million they'll be able to release it at a cheaper price, and they're obviously not doing as much in this game because they don't have the scope. And you're like, okay, all that may be true, but they also may only have 3 employees. So that's going to take, just as long. And then also developers do look at each other and say, hey, this game took 4 years. What can we do in 4 years? And they were all on that tact. I think also COVID affected everybody, got a little rough. People, I mean, we lost a lot of people we lost a lot of money. We lost a lot of people who reevaluated their lives out of games. I have a number of them who were like, I have stuff I have to take care of now or think about. There's just, remember, man, your brain can only handle so much weight of things to think about. And even the best of us crumple under that for a bit. And even if it's your, dude, I think it was AJ in chat, who's a big game player. He's like, for the last month and a half, I haven't felt like playing games. Now, he's admitted he's more reactionary if he hears people talking negative. But then he came in and he went to our Discord and we're all joking around and he starts talking about buying games again. And I was trying to explain to him, I'm like, that might be that you're eating from the same trough that the horses shit in, right? Like, you have to have clean food. You'll hear that from like a weightlifter or something. You have to have clean food so you have clean and you feel good and you have a clean output. I think that goes for games. If you keep sucking in these... A Moldy Muffin came in yesterday and he's like, yeah, I see this. I'm doom scrolling, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you doom scrolling, man? Or are you just on the wrong sites? Because like some sites aren't even doom scrolling. It's just that there's so many people there. And if one bad thing happens, they all want to talk about it. And that can appear like doom scrolling where like you're really seeing a bunch of different dooms or that's all that's there. But I've seen happiness too on like X when GTA got announced and people were like, oh my God, this is great. All that stuff. You see the negative too, but I think a lot of it's how you take it in. Real quick, let's read some of these. Bad Boy said, who? I made a live one. Robert says, top of the day for y'all. Glad to be here. Lots to unpack. Happy Friday. Happy Friday back to you. Gaming with Passion. Happy Friday. Johnny Plays Live. Oh. I don't know what that is. Moving on.
Let's go. Yeah.
Steady Mobbin. Glad to have you guys back. Bad Toy Fried. Love the games. Hey, guys, can't stay due to work in the night shift, but I hope you have a great stream weekend. Also, or always the highlight of my work week. Thank you very much. Johnny Plays Live says, cheers. Salisbury, happy pod day. Bad Toy, I hope everyone's celebrating and has a fun holiday weekend, and please keep all your digits. And I want to thank him for reminding me for about the 50th time that it's the 4th of July, because I forgot that we're coming up on the 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, true. Tomorrow. Yeah.
Happy Friday, everybody. Happy 4th. Are you 600? Are you sure? I feel like we've lost count a few times over the years. 600. What were we talking about with 600? Oh, Oh, you mean the podcast number? Ignore that. Would love to physically collect this podcast. Special says that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, physical edition.
Blake, what's up? Never caught one of these live before. Well, you are here, and it is way worse than if you can just listen. Trust me, you don't even want to be here. Bad Toy says, bro, what the F? Bad Toy says LMAO. I don't know which one of those. Oh, they're probably talking about Last of Us, thinking they're going to do some other things. Goerty says they used to call those pink socks. I know what that is about. I'm not even going to go. That's what I said at the starting of the podcast. Love the Game says, as for buying physical games, I have 2 bookshelves full of games, and I just assembled a 3rd for movies. Physical is king, especially with the internet not existing in the woods. Well, that's true. But would you download an elk? Anyway, Special says, Echoes of the End, grade AA. Robert, Vampire Survivors, love the games. Lego Star Wars Saga has been my entire weekend. Can't get enough, prepping for the Batman one. Kel says, just downloaded the Rogue Tech mod for Battletech. Megetric says, Marathon and BF6. Goerty says, I'm determined to get through Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Robert says, Wendy's does make a good sandwich. They do. Wendy's makes an awesome sandwich. Dodger says, I recently finished Ludo, which I would recommend to any horror fan. Panhora says, I jumped back into Grim Dawn to prepare for the upcoming last expansion. Interesting. Sotnos played a fantastic new point-and-click adventure called The Drifter. I heard that was good. Jim Milton says, making sure this podcast 600 is an unforgettable one. Yeah, true. They're asking each other's questions here. I met the real Wendy once. She just happened to be there when I went for an interview. That's funny. Bit says he's playing Gothic and WoW, like we talked about earlier. Let's see, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Alex says, ACG thoughts on Monopoly Star Wars. It's an Ubisoft game, but it's not included in Ubisoft's Plus. Do you recommend it for 30 Canadian? Probably not, but I haven't played that game. But I mean, as a Monopoly game, I think they're always on sale. I feel like they're on sale a lot of times. Right? Oh, people are talking about temperature. 90 feels like 108. High for me yesterday was 106. Fuck.
Damn.
Gladstone 98. Wild says happy 600th. Thank you very much. Damn, that's hot. And then if I'm going to buy a PS6 and force it to be digital only, then I'm keeping my PS5 offline indefinitely with its own installed games. Yeah, that makes sense. Do what you want to do, man. Kel says, I think something weird. I think we're on the cusp of another golden age. Gaming right now is like Hollywood in 1976 when a whole new crop of creators was just getting started. Hey, man, that's a valid thought. Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, new people come in all the time, right, into the industry.
Yeah. You know what else happens, too, is the people coming into the industry, like when I came in because I was unhappy with the reviews I was seeing, somebody may be unhappy with the entire industry and the way games are made and come in with that new plan and that new energy that changes things around. Whether they dive into some new tech or they're a person who can handle using AI to help them build tools and stuff and they don't care about people's feedback on that kind of stuff. Like all those kind of things can happen. Like, yeah, it definitely. Or somebody who can do, finances, which I feel like some of these guys can't. Austin from Earth, $5 super chat. Yo, rarely catch these live. Bold prediction. Console upgrades will become like iPhone. It will be normal to skip a gen. Well, I think you're right, because PS4 was beating PS5 in total player bases for years. So I think a lot of people are exactly where you are, like generally in that overall thought process. Murky Legends, $5 super chat. What's up, fellas? I can finally make a live show because I have the day off. See y'all on Discords this weekend. Yeah, you should jump in, hang out, play some games with us. Dodger says, you jumped over me playing Spellforce 2 Blasphemy. Yeah, it does happen. Speaking of, there was a person who did a super chat late in last week, and they said, you missed me. I posted in there, and I said, just ask the question and again. I apologize for missing you. So if you post, you don't have to post a super chat. Just post in there that you were the one, and I'll read your thing, and I apologize. It does happen, especially when we get talking. And super chats are weird. They come in at weird times, like odd times. Rick says, did you guys see that Sony removed movies from the PS Store? We don't own nothing in this golden era. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't. If it's digital, you don't.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Steam, it could at some point go away.
Steam games have gone away. Yeah. What's even weirder about that is that it's very easy to pretend as if the major store sellers and the major things people popularize don't have the same problems. Like, it's one of the reasons why I'm a firm believer. I'm just going to be straight. I'm a firm believer. I do not like one digital store controlling everything. To me, that is one of the worst ideas that we can have, because it packs on the fact that it's digital into the idea that it's one place. And they get sued many times. I'm not saying getting sued will take them down or anything, but we've seen that happen to big companies. But I just don't like that idea. I'm just not a fan of having one store be a monopoly like Steam is. I just like other competition, and it adds even more so when it's digital. But yeah, you'll own nothing and like it. Yeah, well, you can own a ton of stuff. You just won't own those games that don't have a physical version or a physical way to play it. I mean, dude, remember this, guys. Any one of these companies could take a USB and start making games on USBs and be what I mean by that is a physical limited games company, a third-party company. If they can get the go-ahead from these guys, they don't have to do CDs. They could do a USB device, especially when RAM drops in price. But let me tell you something. Blu-ray Consortium, a decade. The Blu-ray Consortium has made it clear there is no new Blu-ray. There is no, and these games are they're hedged most likely to increase, especially with the demand and the absolutely angry turnaround about certain languages not being on games. Where like you see somebody say, this arcane Chinese language that's spoken in one province by 4 people isn't on the disc. I'm going to throw a fit on Steam. That's obviously hyperbole. That's a thing, man. The discs are they're not big enough to hold the new games that are coming out. I mean, we're seeing it all the time now. And there is no new Blu-ray. The consortium has just been, there's nothing. So
yeah,
if we get a future game or two, you're going to be looking at 4 discs, which then is going to have a premium well beyond the premium that we're already at just for games costing more.
Yeah, that's gonna be nuts. Sony stated they're not making physical discs for new games starting in January 2028.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna be like the empty box if you do buy a physical version?
You mean will they? Okay, so you can do a physical case so a person can feel like they own something. Right? We've seen that already.
Right.
So one of the reasons why I was like, hey, guys, we've seen this before. I mean, we have. We've seen this before. It's not like this is all a big thing, but it is a major producer saying that. But they're not the only producer. And even to give you an example of how few Blu-rays are made, there's like 2 companies now that make them. They're just not in demand. I think it was I think Derek did his breakdown, and it was 11% of profit through all of Sony was from physical discs, but physical discs cost more, of course, to ship and sell. So when it's even less when you consider profit. So to them, they're looking at 9%, 11%, and they're like, well, they just with all the issues with physical discs and stuff like that they may see on their side, they may just be like, I don't want to do it. It does suck. I don't.
Yeah.
I've been, Steam and digital on a lot of my devices, but I don't have any issue with people like wanting, like, I'm not saying tough to like a lot of people are like tough, move on. It's like, no, not really. We live in a time frame where technically if Sony and Microsoft wanted, they could throw a disk drive on there. Or they could sell an add-on. I think Sony had their little add-on for a while. But I did do the math on speed, man. It's pretty bad. A good speed Blu-ray, and with the amount of disk space that, let's say, a new Blu-ray would have, or multiple Blu-rays, you're talking about installs that are pretty long. Like we're
Yep.
starting to get to that point. And then you have to go from the disk, you go onto the NVMe. You can go to the memory buffer, then onto the NVMe to write it. But if there's any kind of encryption, then you have the NVMe with the encrypted part, which they would have the encryption to be safe for piracy. And then you have to uncompress that. Has anybody uncompressed a game on Steam when you pre-download it and watch that half an hour?
It's slow. Yeah.
And one of the reasons why it can be slower for some is if your NVMe is 4 gigs and you have even barely 1.8 gigs of data on there to 2 gigs, that buffer space it uses to uncompress gets insanely slow. It's just a problem with how NVMEs work. And so you would have these double things. And talking to some developers in a Slack about what they thought of future installs and stuff, and they're like, dude, those installs plus the chance of a disk getting scratched, all this stuff, to them, like the developers, they would love to have you have a disk because it's just one less thing for them to worry about you getting pissed about, right? But at the same time, they want a good experience. And I think we've been bitching about the experience with disks for a while, where you get a disk, put it in, and it requires an 80 gig download. That's a service game.
Yep.
Like, that's a service game. Sorry. If I have to, the reason why I say it's a service game is you may not be paying for a continued whatever, but if you have a disk that's only got like 5 files on it, and those 5 files are basically go online and download this, you need a service to play it. That sucks. That sucks. And it was already an issue because of the size of these things. Yeah. It's rough.
What's odd? I'm pretty sure you never play the game from the disc directly. You always have to like install it, right? Yeah. And then you basically play it from your NVMe on your system. But you still hear the disc going when you boot up the game. It's still like spinning. I guess it's just to check that you own it.
Well, it depends on the game and it depends on the service and the style. There are times where it's it's a piracy thing where it spins and makes sure bits are in the same place, all that kind of stuff. But also, it can be a situation where, for whatever reason, the game is so massive or things are so everywhere that it's looking to see, is the disk got this data faster than the hard drive? Is the hard drive doing a bunch of stuff? Is there something that we can pull from the disk? Maybe they don't install everything on the hard drive. Because if there's a game that requires it to be in, let's say it doesn't have a certification in that way, so you put the game in, and if you take it out, you just can't play it, right? So it doesn't apply a certification onto the console. If that's true, then a developer could play around with that and be like, okay, we want to leave some stuff on the disk that'll play directly from the disk. That way, while that's doing that, we're doing this thing over here. It's less so. I haven't heard of that, but I bet you somebody's done it. I mean, developers can do what they want. I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can do. But I agree with everybody. It sucks. Our future is piecemealed out in every single part of the games industry now. And is piecemealed out so expensively that, I mean, it's going to be really hard to jump to whatever the next thing is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of piecemeal, I had this idea that maybe the future is going to be modular consoles. So like you buy your base console, right? But then you can buy like an additional box that like slots in and it's got an external GPU, maybe. Another little box can be your disk drive if you want that. You know, another one might be some NVMe expansion. You know, you could think of these different modules you would buy. So that would allow you to have like your base version that's a bit more competitive in price. But then you have these modules, and you can imagine like more of a square box, like an Xbox kind of thing. And then just have like other cubes that you attach to it.
Yeah, so that's been a thing for a while, especially because a console has a really nice sort of setup compared to a PC, where the APU and how it all talks. Especially you're seeing mini PCs now messing around with Copper, which is one of the newest design interfaces for external video cards. You had your USB 4 at first, Optilink, and then now there's a new one, I believe it's called Copper, that's pretty much 100%. Plus you can use an M2 riser, and you can get the PCIe channels to basically transfer over to your external. I've messed with all 3 of those. They all work. They're a little ugly. What wouldn't be ugly is a console that did have a slide out device to where, let me talk about this, SSD. I don't think I like if I was a company, I wouldn't like people unscrewing the top of their of their system so that they can put an SSD in. The idea that they were almost like the Xbox things, but it was just any SSD, and you could just slide it out, slide it in, and that motherboard had that live actual slot right there, and you could put that in. I think that would be it would be enjoyable for console owners because it would be a little bit easier than opening your case and trying to fit in some RAM that, by the way, I just saw somebody who was professional on a PC channel break his RAM. He put too much force on it, snapped sideways. As somebody who's installed PCs, I can luckily say it happens to the best.
You can break a motherboard pretty easily.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I could see somebody doing that, and especially as these companies are looking towards how do we make this last longer or offer a little bit more viability. I could see that. Video cards are weird because you are leaving the APU or the basically at that point the integrated graphics processor doing nothing. Maybe running your OS and stuff like that, and there's some driver stuff that you have to make sure. I mean, you could do all that. We don't know. I mean, Microsoft has already stated they're looking at distinct ways to get the Helix into people's hands, and the Helix may be build a box. And I don't mean build a box like you're building a box, but I mean they may have that low level up to a high level, and you can, transfer at any time. But if they do that, then they could have a disc as well, right? So if you start talking about modularity, and at some point somebody's going to say, well, why can't we put a disc in here? Why can't we just do that type of thing? Because I agree with people. If you buy something on SoundCloud, or you buy something on Spotify, or you buy a movie on Netflix, which I've always been surprised they tell you you're buying a movie on Netflix. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, by the way, I'm not bothered by it. I'll buy it right away if I want to watch it. But I know in my heart it can go away, or it cannot work, or the player can go away, or that streaming company like a Pluto or a Sling, one of the smaller ones, they could just evaporate tomorrow. So a little M2 tray that has a clip or a thumb screw sounds great. Yeah, I would love that for people. I think that consoles are at that point. I would love it for Nintendo. I would love it for batteries on handhelds. I think we're at a time where if they're going to be charging an arm and a leg because of the very real issues, it would be a very real time to offer real options for the gamer, because the options are shit. The options for the Steam Deck are shit. They're like shipping some with one stick of RAM, which everybody knows is going to affect performance. They tried to play it down, but you're like, listen, dude, this is...
Oh, the machine? The Steam machine?
Yeah, jury's out on that shit. Like, they're done. The they're all eating together talking about OJ being a murderer. Like, they're done. Nobody's talking about that being, like, a good thing. You don't want that the way we currently have systems set up. But having a slot, yeah. I just don't want them to do the Seagate thing with the Xbox chips, which were so expensive. I don't know if you remember, but you could get the high-speed specialized ones for the Xbox Series S and X, and they weren't even today's prices. That's how bad prices have got, but they were bad. Yeah,
so you paid a big premium for the... Well, it was basically just branded, right?
It was just branded, and it was in the mini style, I believe, for those. And the mini style... I've got a mini, and I'm telling you right now, keeping that thing cool is rough, man. It's rough. Like, I feel like sometimes I have a mini on the exterior of my Legion with a fan on it, and it's just a clip-on because it's a little tiny thing, so it doesn't add any weight to the Legion, but it gives it like 4 terabytes or 2 terabytes of data. And damn, it's hot. And when I say hot, I don't mean it is hot. I can put my hand on it. I mean, I would never put my hand on it and hold it there. I might touch it, tap it, but I would never be like, and hold it there, because after a period of time, you would be burned by. Yeah. So, what do you think about this, guys? Everybody in chat too. What do you guys think about the PlayStation low power portables? So there was a leak from a driver set on Linux that sort of indicated that there was this other chipset that seems to fit some of the expectations for a low power PlayStation 6 portable. But I'm like, is this device going to play? Is it like coming out at the PlayStation 6 time frame, streaming 6 games to it and playing 5? Do you see what I'm saying? And then if it's also not got a disc player, the only 5 games you're playing are the digital ones. So once again, you're back to, and by the way, I don't want a disc player in my handheld. I'm just saying. And that's how that works.
Yeah, that's in the past with the Discman.
Dude, yeah, 48 times with a buffer for it would spin 48 times and it would save a buffer of like 6 seconds. And they'd be like, yeah, this is anti-shock, blah, blah, blah. And you'd go out there and you'd get that. It only required 2 little bumps before both of those buffers were beat to hell and you would start getting skipping.
Yeah.
Bad Toy says, think of how fun it could be. Decorating it, paint, glitter, and Mod Podge has got to be good for 3 or 4 FPS. Oh, to speed up your system. Yeah, well, we all know glitter speeds up systems, right?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
I have a thin vinyl on the Xbox Series X. It's nice. Just because it was so fucking... I mean, the consoles are just so ugly. I've got the one on the PlayStation, but I can't stand to look at that piece of shit. It's just so ugly.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I much prefer the Xbox look, personally, with the rectangle.
Even though it's boring,
cleaner.
It's better than having this, I'm not going to say it. But I'll a suspect Crown of Sauron kind of thing. Or Sauron, yeah. Underglow adds 10 horsepower. That's true for cars. You put a little neon on the bottom of your car. Dude, I put neon on my shoes one day and I beat everybody. So like, yeah, a little bit of neon. Just don't put it on your belt if you're fucking, because, you'll be faster. I would say we all just have to sort of sit back and look. But some of these rumors that you have been hearing are wrong. Like Obsidian, that one's wrong. I think the 6th is Microsoft's last 2-3 years has been the 6th of July for their fiscal announcement. We'll see some of those. We'll see some changing. Johnny, can I give you my conspiracy? Yeah. Now, this is not real, but I just want to point out how weird it is. So when Phil left, everybody was like, man, this person who's taken over, they worked in AI. We're screwed. Like, what's going on with all this AI shit, man? She's AI. She can put AI in everything. Very first week, she's like, we're removing Copilot from future plans in the Xbox. We're removing this, right? But, Johnny, Microsoft has a lot of internal models that they use. And I was telling the guys in Discord last night, is it possible that she walked in for an interview and was like, I can offer you one thing that maybe nobody else can. I've run some algorithms to figure out where to make the cuts that make the most sense for a company without any of the other rigmarole, but is like, sort of almost like what a financial person would do. Would be like, hey, you haven't made a game in 5 years. Then we got to look. Then you got to talk to somebody and you got to get a feel-good story and decide if you're going to keep them. But it's like, it feels so weird that she's like showing up and you see all these negotiations, by the way, which you almost never hear about. You almost never hear about a negotiation. It's usually like, I'm the publisher, you're the dev, or I'm the company investing, you're the dev, no more money. But instead, it's
the
like
dynamic.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna have negotiations. And I was just laughing with the guys going like, man, ask old Claude Fable, be like, question, I run Microsoft. If I was running Microsoft, what companies would I get rid of? Because regardless of like social stigma, we're not getting a lot from them,
Well, certainly she was hired because she was probably aligned with those ideas of cutting certain things.
It has
right?
to be.
For sure.
Unless you were nuts and decided to hire the one person that wasn't aligned with all those ideas and then made them do it. So I just thought that was sort of interesting. Like, I see conspiracies in everything because people always get messed up and think conspiracies require people. They don't. All conspiracies require is 3 particular events that focus on one thing occurring, and they are usually undefinable. Like George Carlin was talking about that one time. I think George Carlin was super intelligent, great comedian, but whenever people talk about conspiracies, he's like, you don't understand, man. An industry can drive a conspiracy. It doesn't have to be a person. It just has to be a forceful entity that has some kind of intelligence in the way it makes its choices. And you're like, true enough, man. Like I get it. I feel like we're in a conspiracy right now with everything. Ace of Games says she asked Copilot to analyze the studio value, but didn't realize Copilot holds a vendetta after it got booted off Xbox. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of those companies, I don't even know if they're a vendetta. It's like they're not around. It's like, hey, here's us. We've been here 7 years. What do you have to show for it? a CGI trailer. Got to be a sucky time. Got to be a sucky time. It's nobody's fault either, man. Game development's tough. The other thing is when we're looking at the future, so let's talk about physical media going down, RAM prices being expensive. What do we think for prices now? Because the Steam Deck's out. You know, like you look at it, you're like, that's the price of the Steam Deck. You look at the handhelds, machine. You're like, that's the price of the handhelds. What do you think? Take your wildest gander. Don't feel bad if you think it's low or high. What do you think a Helix and a PlayStation 6 will cost if current traditions stand and what current patterns stand?
So my prediction is that PS6 is going to be closer to what a Switch is than a full-on dedicated console for your living room.
That's because they were continue with this story because this is interesting. I'm listening.
Okay, they were talking about like how the next gen will be enjoyed beyond the living room. It was this sort of weird statement they had, and that just makes me think that they are thinking like, okay, how do we release something that's gonna be not as pricey as a full-fat next-gen console, but it's new enough that like gets people excited and stuff. And that could be them going for a $1,200 portable device that's truly its own device. So not like the portable, but it's actually running stuff. It has a lot more capability. And maybe you have the duality of the Switch too, where you're able to dock it in, that type of thing. But then it also allows people to play it, like they said, beyond the living room. So that would be my guess, is that Sony would go for something more along the lines of a hybrid or portable, and it would be around like $1,200. Tough to say what Xbox is gonna do though, because they do sound like they're just going for a more run-of-the-mill upgrade.
Okay, well, you took me by big surprise there. Because since they're talking about the low-power portable, I don't assume they'll have two systems that are portable. So it is possible that the PlayStation 6 is switched to this portable device, and that is what they go with. And it wouldn't be the stupidest because everybody looks at Switch and goes, for some reason, it's still working. It's still selling, and it's got a usability. People do realize, that as prices go up, you don't always negate that idea of a price. Sometimes you break it down to usability, and you have 3 or 4 devices, and you look at it, and you're like, this one does Blu-ray and HD DVD. Now, I'm never going to use HD DVD, but hey, it's in here, right? It's in here. So maybe I'll get that one, especially if they have the same ratings. That's normal. That kind of stuff does happen. The Mark Cerny already did a discussion on the PlayStation 6 and the ideals, and he did that like last year, where he was talking about like their future for PSSR, PISR, all that kind of stuff. Here's what I do believe. Let's talk about. I don't know if I believe that, but so I'll talk about mine. I think first of all, a low power device is a device that somehow Sony goes in and makes some very, very peculiar switches to two things: how PISR works and FrameGen works. Now, we know NVIDIA's got this with smooth motion, which is completely separate from DLSS, and it can work on games that don't have DLSS. There's actually a couple options people don't usually use on an NVIDIA card that you can use on games that don't have support for things. Pretty cool, and they continue to advance them, weirdly enough. For example, smooth motion they have. So would they go in there and say, listen, this screen is so small that we can, there are these things we can do where it's not going to matter, including game font changes, things that make it easier for readability, that it doesn't look really soft if you have a low resolution. There are ways to sharpen edges on just particular things. Smart trained, LLM trained models that can do that. I think that's pretty much the only way to do it, is to have changes in FrameGen for them and how they do it, and changes on PSSR. I also think that right now PSSR basically, for the most part, takes your frame at the lower frame rate at the lower resolution, and uses AI to write it up and get it to this new thing. And now they're talking about neural frame gen and neural upscaling. But let's pretend we're not talking about that. You know, is it possible to maybe have systems that are smart? Because currently none of this is smart. Currently it is all dumb. Meaning, yes, it was trained on an LLM, but it isn't doing micro adjustments. And there's two things we've heard about from console makers and from PC makers is this idea of, we'll call it a hypervisor, it's not, but an overall chip that's constantly watching the system, turning it down. Xbox controller is a very good example of this. It has a system where it goes into hibernate much more often than any other controller. Therefore, its batteries last a good deal longer. So are there ways to where you can do that in different things? Can you have it intelligent to where if you're getting 60, it just turns off? If you're getting 45, it samples every other, and that gets you to a thing. Stuff that like DLSS doesn't really need to do because they've got a giant video card the size of the console anyway. So they're not thinking on those efficiencies. Yeah. And Cerny knows his stuff. Cerny knows his stuff. Like if there's anybody out there who's playing around with, I'm just going to take the blue pixels and upscale those because it's more sensitive to the eyes or something, like some science that nobody thinks about. Like SMAA used to be that way where people didn't expect that to do well. And it was actually pretty good upscaling. It made things soft, but it was a usable different style of upscaling. Yeah, I could see that. Frame gen, same way. You have to now basically have a variable refresh rate screen, and then a system that somehow is making way more adjustments than we've ever seen before to get that to be at 60 all the time, or 30, whatever. We'll say 60. Get that handheld to 60 all the time, but it's just making changes all the time, like actual CPU, GPU, like something that can go up and down. Whenever it needs it, it takes it. Whenever it doesn't, it drops it down.
So it sounds like you think it might be more pure software improvements that would carry the next gen?
Yeah. I mean, they've already, at least from what they've stated, I can only go on what PlayStation has stated and what AMD have stated, their device is a modified version of all the stuff we've seen before. Xbox has got a different style of device that they're doing. It's a massive wafer. It's supposed to be ultra powerful, like most likely to also run Windows stuff. But this idea, yeah, I mean, I could see, and hey, Mark knows what he's doing. I mean, he comes up with some good stuff. Pisser's really good. I mean, it's really good, especially when you consider...
Name aside. Yeah.
Name aside. But when you consider XESS, you consider NVIDIA, FSR finally is good as of, yesterday with 4.1. They finally ended up making FSR viable, very viable. But it took AMD years, and PlayStation decided, you're taking too long, we're doing our own. And then they've also helped them too. So who knows what parts of what Sony's done if they pass some data to AMD. AMD stated openly that they work together. Maybe that's why 4.1 does have these jumps right away. Those are good improvements. If we go that way, for me, I think it'll be a normal console. I love the idea, and they did state they want it to be out and about. I don't know what that means though. Does it mean cell phone versions? Yeah. Does it mean a phone version of the game? And they go, or does it mean OEMs like Microsoft, where they don't have their own handheld? They build the spec, they make the spec, and they sell that spec to handheld device manufacturers. And they say, here's the minimum, and you can do whatever you want towards the maximum. And I don't think any of us want that, because the minimum right now is $1,400 to $1,600 for a handheld. So can you imagine? Can you imagine buying a PlayStation, then buying that? You'd be like, "What the fuck? That's $3,200."
Yeah, if you had to buy two devices now, wow.
Yeah, I think it'll stream from the PlayStation, obviously, and they'll hopefully they get that fixed, because it ain't great. It works, but it's not great. Xbox works better, but not great. Love to see both of those guys, open that up to people, because it is a massive game changer if I can use a tablet and a USB controller for $90, or I can buy a handheld PC for $600 for a super cheap one to do it, or $1,900 for a good one. That's a ridiculous price jump. So
is there any way to... Sorry, you go on.
No, that's fine. What were you going to say?
Is there any way where a dedicated graphics unit or graphics card can be viable in one of these consoles, or will the APU or like mobile style just always be cheaper and like better value? Could we see like PS6 with a dedicated GPU if they work directly with either AMD or? Probably
hey,
not.
buddy, you're losing a lot of Hi, buddy. You're losing a lot of cash doing that, and I just don't think the world's prepped to upgrade a console in that way. I mean, maybe they do for like, you know how memory cards used to be sold for the Saturn and stuff, or they'd have like there was a Meg cartridge for a couple devices where you'd plug in and give the system more RAM to save games and all this kind of stuff. You'd have something like that, but I don't think anybody wants that, man. I mean, they certainly want to be able to upgrade their NVMe, that kind of stuff. But
yep.
I mean, I like the idea because I feel like in the old world, all of our discussions really still hinge around the old prices for things. Because, dude, a standalone... Now, remember, this would be an AMD card, which aren't great for ray tracing anyway, but imagine a standalone AMD card in a box made for PlayStation, probably not a direct copy of any other chip or one they've got. It's going to have to be smaller. Just get it. I feel like that person's just paying an arm and a leg for something that will increase the resolution somewhat. And remember, CPU, basically, not for sure true, but I just want to point this out. CPU is technically more akin to your FPS, and resolution and effects is more akin to your GPU. And then at some point, whether you push one or the other, you cap one of them. So one of them gets capped. GPU has no more data, can't do anything. CPU has no more power, can't send more data. So you sort of. So you could get that video card as long as your CPU had the ability to push the data it needed to it. But that also means you can't just throw, a 4090 in there if it's a mobile APU.
Yeah.
Because
it's all in balance, right?
Yeah, it'd be completely harmony. Out of balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see, man. I think Xbox stated it pretty clearly. They're like, we're looking at new ways to get the Helix not changed, but into people's hands differently.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that just means...
I think it could be like payment plans.
Yeah.
It could be rent to own. It could be...
Sony's got it already.
Ads,
so
models.
And Microsoft's done it in the past. I don't see any reason not to do it. But
no.
If they try to let's say they try to raise the price too, then a smart person is going to be like, all right, I can go rent to own on my $2,300 Xbox, or I can do rent to own on my $3,200 PC. It's going to be a hard... That's a hard choice. Sounds like $1,000 and it's a big deal, but I think a lot of people would be like,
yeah, might as well.
Might as well.
Yeah. Shoot for the higher end. Do you think there's a chance we get like ad-driven options? Like maybe you buy the console cheaper or like significantly cheaper, but like those TVs, do you remember like some TVs? You have like ads in them, like built in.
The AOL taskbar at the bottom, so you could surf the internet while it showed you ads. I see ads going into games more than I do the banners being paid and being enough, because a lot of people aren't in the OS enough for a company to say, are banners well worth putting on your OS page, especially when you can boot directly to games, you can boot to different things. They have some people boot, for a bill a second. Other people spend an hour in the store trying to decide what game they're getting. I don't see that as financially feasible as much as game companies saying, we'll put Mountain Dew in Horizon Forbidden West.
Let's integrate in your FIFA
now,
game.
I don't know what Mountain Dew in Forbidden West is going to look like, but we could do it because it's mountains and there's dewy mountains, so we'll do that. I see that as being for sure. I mean, and movies have started doing it even more, and because everybody's trying to figure out a way to fund their thing. So yeah, I could see that. I would not like it. I wouldn't mind that. What I'm saying is I wouldn't like the OS to have a big banner. That it just looks tacky. How do you even do a proper banner? Like that is Neoscape. That is fucking like AOL. That is GeoCities. That's Alt Vista. That shit's so old. That's like Ask Jeeves. If that comes back, man, And it'll never get out if it comes back. It
would only be there. One of the options. It would be like, listen, it's either that or you can't afford the console, you know? So maybe that's
you
your
mean
alternative.
Man, if I was a company, I wouldn't trust that shit worth anything in the world, because you'll have people leaving it on so it shows a bunch of ads so it looks like they're watching them. Like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that, like, I think better is the games taking care of it. By the way, I'm not saying better as in I want it. I'm saying I don't want that on my OS, man. I don't even like it on my TV, and I've got one on my TV. Got, like, you know, the occasional big. It sort of looks like a trailer, and then you realize that ain't no trailer. That's a promoted video, like, within my OS. Yeah, I don't like that. I would rather do game stuff.
I would rather pay a good amount of money to not have that.
Yeah, and keep games down, because, see, I buy more games than I do devices. I could sink the cost of the device, but it would be there forever, where not all games would do it. So you could play a game and there wouldn't be any, you know, which would also be nice. You could have, I mean, if you wanted, you could be like, hey, bro, our game doesn't have no fucking ads. And people would, you know, we say free market speaks. It doesn't. We've seen that many times where it's supposed to, but people do the opposite. But I could see people being like, I'm going to get this game because, you know, there's no ads and I already wanted the game.
Right.
The Kindle puts a load of ads on the front screen. Hasn't been an issue for me, and it made the unit a lot cheaper. There you go. And I can say I just used my Kindle this morning, and I fucking hate that. It feels like a barrier of entry to me. So there you go. Now, do I hate it so much I wouldn't use it? No, not at all. I notice it, and it's a point of friction. I want all my ads on physical disc. Dude, that'd be amazing. You get to play the game, but the only way is by putting a physical disc in, and you're like, wow, I get physical discs again. And they're like, no, this is actually 64 hours of bitty, low-res XVID, barely playable ads at 14 FPS with just chunky macro blocking everywhere. I have a PS5 Pro and a Steam Deck OLED and haven't used either of them in months.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What'd you say, bro?
What if, like, okay, so instead of having your Blu-ray disc, you do get only a code in the game box, but it's like this awesomely crafted, maybe it's like a little badge, like a Pokemon gym badge or something that looks cool. It has your code in there, but it's sort of unique, and it's almost like a collectible item in and of itself. Like, they actually throw a bit of money into making something cool for you to have physically. So they have like, that's my game code. Yep.
I love it. I have no issue with that. I would rather have the disc, but we're not, it's not happening. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and FOMO over something we're for sure not getting.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, if they want to show you the case, that's fine. I don't know why you would need the case shape or size if there's never going to be a DVD in it. I would actually start to look at other things. Like, for example, I have the metal plates and the metal posters. I would want a premium to be like, just be open about it. Yeah, we don't have, there's no game in this premium. But for once and for all, we're going to give you some really cool shit if you really like this game. That's different than everybody else. Dude, the ones at Walmart, those things are the greatest goddamn thing I've ever seen. If I was working at, like, Naughty Dog or whatever, I would go spend $3,000 or whatever, buy 300 of them or whatever that would translate to, and have some people sign them and be like, here's like your special thing. And it's amazing looking. Like, it's probably one of the best art pieces. I have 4 of them. It's probably the best art pieces I have in my house. And those
like
are not
necessarily.
They're the metal poster, the full metal.
Yeah.
They're not the disc plate sort of cheap ass one. I know that sounds weird, but I have some disc plate. I'm not super happy with them. But these I couldn't be happier with. They are absolutely glossy, bright, perfect colors with no fuckery, and they're just metal. They're laminated on a metal.
You don't like display? I got some pretty nice ones.
I've got some pretty nice ones. This is not pretty nice. It is amazing. That's the difference.
Okay.
And it is $150, $250 less for the same size. So, like, it doesn't. I showed you the Thundercats one I had. Like, that thing was like $36, and I'm looking at it going like, dude, that is fucking wicked. I put magnets on the back, and now it's the cover of the PC case, and it just looks fucking wicked. It's like, that is awesome. I mean, I'd put those things everywhere in my fucking house if the wife wouldn't come home and be like, I'm out. I mean, I love it. When I first found them, because I do have disc plates too. I've got ones with lights. I've got a metal tint one, the shimmer one, where like you if you're moving in the house, staring at it like a ninja, it slightly fades. I've got one lit in the back. They're fine, but they're also big in the same shape all the time, or most of the time. They're sort of a bog standard. If you have one, I have one. And there's not a huge difference other than the art. With these, you can just go crazy. No.
Yeah.
So, which I like. But anyway, yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be crazy when you this podcast for sure not sponsored by Display. Or Vessi fucking shoes, the world's biggest piece of shit ass Wicker Man fucking horror shoes you'll ever own in your life. Fuck those shoes. I would say I would say, in all honesty, it feels like we sort of know what's going to happen, which is just PlayStation sort of, they're doing their thing, Xbox is doing their thing. Physical media was a big change. But I didn't expect physical media only because when I started reading how many more games were selling that were digital on like Xbox Series S versus X and stuff, I was like, ooh, that might be a place that they save some money, especially because RAM is in CD burners and readers, which means its cost goes up.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think that's not really going to be too much of a surprise. I don't even think the tech is going to be a big surprise. I think the software is going to be. I think they're really looking at trying to figure out the software. And that's probably where we should be, because we get the hardware, there's idiosyncrasies, but what do we always bitch about? It's a software. It's like hiatus or whatever it's called. Fucking when you put the game on pause on the Xbox, what's that called? Not hiatus.
Like quick resume or something?
Quick resume, yeah. It's like, great, quick resume works, but you know what? It also fucks up some games. So you're like, oh, God. Could you guys just fix that shit? Yeah, it's going to be weird, guys. 2020, what? When do we think these are coming?
Oh, wow.
Anybody in chat, you have a guess? What year do you think a PlayStation 6 and an Xbox are coming?
28? Too early.
No, it's what I agree. I think 28. I mean, 27 is in the depths of the worst part of the Rampocalypse, too. Like, they've made it clear. Right. Like, 27 is rough. So, I feel like 28 is where you're hoping, right? You're out there, you're hoping. You're clawing for RAM. 2028, 2030 if they're smart. Yeah, I mean, 2028, since that's a date for physical. Yep, there you go. It's a good point. 2028. Yeah, it looks like that, and that's been my guess for a while. I feel like that's just a good overall time frame. And that time frame would be 1.5 years since GTA came out on the PlayStation 5, so it'd almost be a perfect time to do a PlayStation 6 remaster of GTA 6. I'm just joking. We don't want that. But just saying. Xbox 27. Okay, interesting. PS 26 and 28. Both will not be able to have a good price. Correct. Prices will probably not go down in the next. Yes, correct. All that correct. 29. Okay, we got somebody pushing a little farther. We have a 30 and a 29. 30, though, was sort of hedging, but I think the order can't be delayed. Oh, that'd be interesting if you can't delay the order, because they haven't even prepped the actual systems yet. So you could definitely, I guess that's another thing. You order what you're ordering doesn't mean you ship when you ship, because we now know the Steam machines were sitting around for a while. So doesn't really matter. GTA 6 Enhanced Edition for PS6 for another 80 to 100. Not upgrade path either. Oh.
Yeah.
Dang.
Full double dip.
Yeah. I mean, if it's good, it'll still suck, but it will happen. Like the double dip, if it has any kind of the limelight of 5, it's just, I don't know if it will though, man. I think some people are setting themselves up for failure, man. There's people out there going like, I've already decided to name my kid GTA 6. And you're like, well, there's 2 characters in the game. Could have just named them after one of those. Nah, The characters, they're not important. I named my kid Grand Theft Auto Junior. People are just so into that.
Gita as a name.
Or Gita. Gita was a name.
Yeah, Gita.
Yeah, you could do that. PS5 might get supported extra long. Absolutely will. Yep, I totally agree with you, sir. Especially when you look at it with PS4 lasting so long. Why not? Why not? I mean, we're not seeing major changes in graphics cards right now because nobody's making new graphics cards. By the way, can I point out how happy I am that's happening? Because they would have to tack on something above ray tracing. It would just have to happen. Now, they could say ray tracing faster, but people iterate on those purchases. Ray tracing caused people to go out and buy the lie that those companies told us. You know, that ray tracing would be at a playable FPS, and it wasn't for ages, even on the powerful ones. So, I'm happy there's no 6090 right now that a consumer buys. You know, that there's no, like, full new, there's no 70 coming, or announced yet, at least. I want a couple gens, man. No, and by gens, I mean years. I'll be safe. But wouldn't it be nice to have a couple years where your card's good, my card's good. Some people's aren't, and then hopefully, I think that's what fucking sucks for people is if there isn't a new card, then the secondhand card entire marketplace isn't there for a person to do that upgrade, which sucks balls for that person who's got a 2080 Ti and is like, all I want is a 3090, you know? And it's like, well, $900 will get you a 3090. It's like, damn.
Yeah. And some stuff is always locked, but behind the newest, you know, like some DLSS features and things. So that's going to happen. But
I know why they do. They have integer 8 and they have a different, it's a little bit like LLMs where they have different quantizations and different like paths that they use to do, whether it be ray tracing or do DLSS. So I get why sometimes they do it, but we have seen a couple older cards get hacks and run those new systems. Now, they don't have the hardware acceleration a lot of times, so it'll do good, but it won't do amazing like the new card.
Yeah.
But dude, sometimes it just pisses me off, man. Sometimes you're just like, come on, there's no reason DLSS blank has to be what they were planning on DLSS 5. That's such a weird, odd, big thing that obviously needs a lot of acceleration and training. But like, there's been so many times I feel like where we're getting it, and you're like, oh my God, here we go again. You're just selling me bullshit. And you sort of just, it's almost like they decide one specific tech element. They're like, neural, like, for example, there we go, Johnny, the neural upscaling and neural texturing. Like, if they can figure that out, because I wasn't super happy with the results. I thought they were good, but they weren't as good as, like, when you hear neural, I don't know why, I'm thinking like neural mancer, right? I'm thinking like that texture is going to cut your actual physical eye. It's so sharp from a distance of 1,000 miles that, like, light will just suck into it. Like, there's no chance. It'll just chop up light when it hits it. And they showed it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it's certainly not close to native. It's not like DLSS now, where sometimes you look at a DLSS quality or a DLSS performance sometimes on some games, and you're like, damn, that's sort of hard to see. But, neural something is going to be the new thing, right? They'll figure out. I would like to see them handle memory different in cards and stuff. GeForce Now has been my savior. Yeah. Hey, listen, we did the math on GeForce Now. I mean, if you already aren't owning your games because you buy them on Steam anyway, GeForce Now has a free tier. And I just tell people, might as well try the free tier. I mean, there might be a game that isn't Call of Duty, and you'd be quite surprised at the bit rate and how good it looks. And I mean, they're upgrading. They have AV1, they have DLSS, all that stuff works, and they're throwing out 5080s in the premium level, and in the normal level it's 40s, which is more than powerful enough. So, yeah. I did see. Did you? I thought it was hilarious that they were like, the conspiracy is that they don't want us to own anything. And I'm like, dude, do you think a company wants to pay for your jackass piece of shit to be playing XCOM and spending 400 watts in a server room somewhere when they can get 10 times that from an AI company? They do not want you to, they want you to pay an arm and a leg for their device every 3 years, because it'll be well more than renting a service will. Then the conspiracy would have to somehow get USB. You would have to actually go to every peripheral that you normally have on a local PC and get all of this cabal together and have them all agree that the best bet is that nobody owns anything. And you're quite literally talking to the people who make you want to own everything. And what are you going to do? You're going to trust NVIDIA to pay down? Be like, NVIDIA's like, yeah, we want everybody to not own anything. So you'll do a subscription. We'll give you 10% of it. Bullshit. No company's doing that. That's ridiculous. The conspiracy of that just doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense on a financial place, but it also doesn't make sense right now with the idea that they're having problems even getting energy right now for devices. They'd rather have you pay 400 watts of energy on your own PC and buy it for $3,700.
You don't think if they could flip a switch tomorrow and get everybody to play through GeForce Now instead of like playing on an owned card, they wouldn't go for it?
No, because those are server cards, and those are entire PCs. People are mistaken NVIDIA for magically somehow being Windows and the motherboard and the blankety blank and all this other stuff. The entire industry is held up by USB 3 cable sales, HDMI cable sales, all these crazy things. And if you're piping it all in through a LAN cable, that entire industry of billions of dollars would have to agree that that is the best bet. And it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense from a power standpoint, because that means a person who is paying $20 can use a 4090 8 hours a day in your server room with you paying all of that. And their hope is that somehow $20 a month is going to equal these cards that are $3,700. And they're also hoping that no competition steps up and figures out another way to eat into that. No. I mean, I think any company looks at different ways to make money. They want some people to use that. And
I think it's more of a
it's complementary
strategy. You know, you want both. You want people paying the big bucks for your cards, but then this kind of fills up the niche, like people who couldn't afford the card maybe, but they're chipping into your system, right? So they're paying, because I think you're right. It would take so long for you to pay them the equivalent of a full card
that you would upgrade in a shorter amount of time than the card would be paid, then the payment of GeForce Now would end up getting them.
Yes.
There is, and by the way, not a small amount, but like that kind of upgrade, let's say 2.5, 3 years, even though I think for a lot of people, they don't consider they upgrade that much. We do see that upgrade path being pretty fast now. It's probably going to get even more when new cards come out. Dude, it's ridiculous. It's like and power's a big deal too, because power, if you look at LLMs and you look at all this stuff, it is insane. And people are starting to see that everybody is subbed out. They're just subbed out. It's just a thing now. And when you're talking about GeForce Now, if every game could play on it, sure. But currently, about 1/100th of the games that are available on PC play on that. I mean, I think it's 4,000 games, and there are 12,000 games a month released. I'm not saying everybody wants to play the hentai game, called Touching Yourself, like, Bang Bus or whatever. But some people are going to want to play those. And you're going to want to play them on your home device. There's also a privacy thing. I'm sure a lot of people don't want people looking at they don't want people looking at what they're doing in their game. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to use the fact that they are almost a monopoly now in the streaming game? I don't think anybody else is rivaling GeForce in the streaming. Do you think they're going to use that to like increase the prices, get everybody hooked, and then like boom, evil mustache twirling?
Well, if you believe the current complaints, then nobody would subscribe to it, because it's, number one, you don't own anything. Now you're not even owning your hardware, and people are complaining about not even having CDs. So you would have to somehow. Now, by the way, this just happened to me yesterday, where somebody's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm not getting a console. I'm switching to Steam because you don't have your CDs on your consoles." And I'm like, "You're switching to Steam? It's literally called Vapor. You don't own anything.
Yeah, it's actually
vapor. Like
vapor.
And they legitimate. This wasn't a thing where they were saying, "Oh, because of this, I'm changing to an alternate." They had not thought that. Like in the conversation, they're like, "Oh, yeah, that is true." And I was like, "Yeah, it's because you got a knee-jerk reaction, which is absolutely acceptable to have. But come on, come on." I would say with GeForce, you have a ton of problems. If you have people worried about the environment, you got a ton of issues there. If you have people worrying about up and down for your internet, you got that. If you have people worrying about the ability to have good latency in games, there's always going to be a slight change to that. There's a ton of negatives there. There's a ton of negatives that are actually quite high up in the, I guess you would say, the echelon of gamers who would want a 4090. It's very weird. Think about it, Johnny. It's very weird. GeForce Now, the reason why the conspiracy thing, ignoring the actual facts of that you would have to pretend the world, it just doesn't exist, and that's why this would happen. You're quite literally pushing onto somebody an incredibly powerful video card, but you are hampered by the internet. So you're like, here's a 4090, which a person would be like, great, I'm going to play Call of Duty at 200,000 frames per second because I can tell the difference between 200,000 and 1,999 because they're a liar. And they're like, I'm going to play it that way. And you're sitting there going, dude, if you have any of these other caveats like energy, the environment, if that it bothers me. I use LLMs, and even I'm like, dude, that's a lot on the environment. That's tough. We have to figure these things out as we move forward for anything. There's so many negatives that you can't retreat to the person who just tried to kill you, which is exactly what somebody would be doing. They'd be like, oh, I'm going to retreat to GeForce Now. And you're like, why are you retreating? And when they would tell you any reason, you'd just be like, ta-da. It's the same. It's right there. It's right in front of you. Like, it's the same exact thing. You don't own the game. You have to worry about the internet. At least with Steam, you don't have to worry about the internet, right? Well, you download it, right. You can play it remotely, and which I think is a huge plus for people. And let's be honest. There's also those people who believe that if they have the Steam game on their PC, maybe they can crack it if something happened. And so maybe Steam has a bit more leeway in that area. Like maybe they own it. Why crack it anyway? Unless it's got a terrible anti cheat. So they leave it there and they think in their brain, okay, I can do this. Where with GeForce Now, they remove games all the time. Also, a big hint on why GeForce Now won't be doing this. There are multiple publishers who in no way, shape, or form are ever going to GeForce Now. Ever. I mean,
so even if they are on Steam,
yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah, there are multiple companies who are dead set. Could even be that the person believes in ownership who runs it. Because I don't know why. But there are multiple companies, even smaller companies I talk to, whose games are not on GeForce Now and could be. And there is a very particular number of reasons. One being they don't like NVIDIA. Two being they don't want their game impacted by any kind of internet issues because it's hard to QA. Because somebody can be like, hey, your game is stuttery. And you're like, fucking no, it's not. I'm playing it on domino pieces. Like, it fucking requires 1 frame per, 18 minutes to play. How is it fucked up? And then you're like, oh, GeForce Now. GeForce Now also is a different executable. It gets patched at different speeds. So while I like it, it's not a replacement. It's like you said. It's an extra. And it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's like Xbox. It's an extra. You can stream on the cloud if you want to play it and have it look like dog shit. I think PlayStation and Xbox need to fix their streaming, and I don't know if that's ever happening because their streaming's rough. I don't know. Anybody in chat have good experience? I would love to hear it. If you have good experiences on streaming on the consoles, their bit rate's a bit better, but their latency is just man. It's so. By the way, I don't mean streaming from your console to a handheld. That shit's ace. That's like pretty much very close to being like natural because you're just going one hop. But playing on the cloud on Xbox, it just
rough.
It's rough.
I tried that out. But I tried it a long time ago. I don't know if it's maybe improved a lot over time. Have you recently tried that?
I did. I played it. Anytime I hear there's an improvement, there was 1 for latency years ago. There's 2 for bit rate. I'll definitely turn it on and try it. But it is a generation, if not two, lower than the lowest GeForce Now equivalent.
Damn.
Yeah. But you can play them. I played Starfield for a while on it. It was rough, because moving that controller is like, is the battery dead? I mean, have you ever played a game where the dead zone's too big on a controller, so you have to move it almost to the edge before the character moves? That's sort of how it feels.
Yeah.
I played Starfield on handheld through GeForce Now. That was crispy. Yeah. Dude, as much as I'm bitching right now about GeForce, and you know me, I will talk it up for some things. I ain't gonna talk it up for everything. God, that's so stupid. I'm not even gonna talk up local for everything. Dude, you ever sat in a 90-degree room with no AC and had a local PC? I'd wish for GeForce Now. Because your PC isn't cooking your balls, like a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation Pro, man. That shit was rough. Google Stadia was the best. Google Stadia had some good stuff, man. Google Stadia had some tech behind it that was pretty goddamn crazy, man. Really, really enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah,
very,
crazy
very
that
cool.
didn't work, actually. Do you think it was due to them not having the library from Steam or wherever?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, dude. It was weird.
It's a big deal.
It was like, not only imagine coming up. I mean, GeForce has this problem too. This is a very real issue with GeForce. Some of the best, biggest, giantest games of all time are not on GeForce, so it's going to be an issue forever. But I remember with Stadia, they're like, and this can muck 16 racers so you can see them in the replay, and I was like, that is amazing. That is like legitimately some really cool tech. And then at the same time, they're like, yeah, but you have to rebuy all the games. And it became a it became a Sony, it became its own version of Xbox. It became its own version of Switch, where it was its own platform. Nobody wants another fucking platform. And that's just too rough. I used to use my PS4 to heat my studio apartment. Dude, I used to use it to fucking warm up the goddamn diesel engine I ran. I'm just joking. That would be crazy. What do we got for questions? Let's look at Discordian. I hope you guys are all having a great day. If you have any questions, feel free. Whoa, we got a bunch. Okay. So, CEO of Supermassive stepped down.
Yeah, that's right. So the directive, I think, did pretty well.
It did pretty well. Yeah, reviews-wise, I don't think it did. But sales-wise, I thought I did hear that it did pretty well overall. Maybe not the greatest, but...
So Robert Henderson was the guy. And he said, honored to guide the studio through intense industry change. What do you make of that? Obviously, he's not going to say anything bad. It's whenever you're stepping down, right? You know the right things to say, regardless of what happened. But
I mean, dude, he may just be tired of making the same type of games. They don't own the Until Dawn license. Sony does. Maybe he had hoped they were going to make it until Sony had somebody else make it, and that was the last straw. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, it happens. I don't think the directive is a CEO's fault if it doesn't do well. I'm a big fan dude, if you ever get a chance, they're shitty old movies, but a lot of the old corporate movies from like the 90s show the sheer diabolical stupidness of firing a CEO to restore confidence. You can do it if you want, and if they made a mistake, you can do it, but like something like this where it's a creative decision and they just sort of let the people go and do their thing, I don't really believe in it. I think he probably just left. I really do. I think that, I mean, he got what, 9 games out? 9, 10, 11 games out, and none of them equaled the ones that he did, but some did well. Some were well-liked. They've got fans. They've got a ton of fans of The Quarry. Maybe he just decided to step away. I was surprised by it, but also it's a change into the guard. I mean, maybe he looked at the cost of doing another one and was like, I don't know. This is, how you going to...
Yeah. He joined in January of 2024.
Oh, so I guess it's not even that long. Yeah.
It's not that long ago. I think it might just be simply that he's hopping jobs, which is very common for people in executive roles.
Yeah.
they want a juicier new role because they always get paid more when they switch, right? So it's always like trading up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it. And I don't know how much a CEO of a studio impacts the game they make, because oftentimes CEOs are so removed from both the technical side, but the artistic side and all that. Of course, big decisions are made by them and stuff, but I just don't feel like it's the biggest impact to a game.
Well, even the software we designed, the CEO was a great person that you talked to, but his job 90% of the time was getting new business and dealing with partners for parts and all that kind of stuff. He had nothing to do with the development. Nothing. In fact, it would be weird if he had a ton, because then you start going, dude, you need to sit down here if you're going to keep asking me questions. Like, it just, yeah, I don't think some CEOs of small company probably have more, or if they're a what do you call it, a developer in the past, that kind of thing. But if his job's just CEO, it's just CEO.
Right. If they are like a veteran in the company, they've been at the company for 20 years or something, then it's much more likely they did start maybe in a technical role, and then they, went into management and executive role and stuff. And you do see that. But yeah, for people who have joined recently like him, I just don't think it's going to be the biggest impact.
And dude, if you're a good boss and you've been there that long, you know what your job is most of the time? To keep the status quo of the good atmosphere if it's got it.
Yeah, company culture. Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge. Dude, I mean, you can give shit to whoever you don't like with whatever acronym after their name, but I've been lucky, and most of the companies I've worked with, the CEOs have been incredible, dynamic, and business-like, but also care about the people. Obviously that'll be my experience. Other people have different ones, and depends on the size of the company. But they were the culture, and if good, I mean, no hyperbole. I'm not saying I'd die for them, but I would do extra for that. If they needed something, I'd be like, dude, you've made it so that this work is not necessarily as work should be. You've made this culture where people have a good time and feel comfortable and get something done and feel productive. And that's a big deal, man. I don't think he got fired for let's say it not doing well. It sounds to me like he just left, just stepped away. Maybe we'll hear more. I don't know. It was a surprise to see that Until Dawn wasn't them. So.
Oh, yeah.
That did.
So it's a different studio, right?
Yeah. Maybe he left because of that. I could see somebody being pissed. Maybe they had a deal where they were like, and once that was announced, he was just like, yeah, I'm out. I don't know. Kel says, Steam is running a Steam summer sale. What overlooked gem would each of you recommend people pick up on a nice discount? Why do you recommend that game? My game recommendation would be Book of Hours, a lovely occult library management sim from 2023 that can be had for $12.50. It's puzzles and mysteries that rewards players who pay attention to details, and you can pick it up for many hours before you've been through it all. Book of Hours. Definitely heard of that game. Oh, whoops. I caused us to disappear. Give me 1 second. I was opening up the wrong Discord. What, let's see.
Yeah. I don't know about gems necessarily, but I saw a couple of pretty good deals. One is Kingdom Come Deliverance for $20. The second one.
Oh, not bad.
So that's really good. I also saw Dead Island 2 for $4. It's literally 90% off.
Yeah, that's
a very fun game.
Damn, that
very
game is
fun to pick up.
Yeah. Dude, don't you hate it sometimes when you get drowned out in the this is not this, and you're like, it may not be, but what it is awesome. And I feel like that happens with a lot of zombie games. I feel like in some ways it happened with Dying Light 2, which is well, it's not Dying Light 1. No, it is not. Correct. That's why there's a 2 in the title. It does things different. Yes, it does. And you may dislike it for that, which is also fine. But when you get that thing with Dead Island, the same thing happened. People are like, oh, Dead Island 2, it's not, what we thought it was going to be, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, That's cool. But it's pretty fucking awesome in and of itself. Like, I think it's best to just, what you get is what you should, sort of like rate it on, not like what it could be. If you're, otherwise, I rate every game as never touched, because you could improve every game beyond belief. For me, I don't really have one, Kingsbird. There's one where you play as an electrical charge that jumps, and you're traveling the world. You're jumping between power panels and power lines, traveling across the world, traveling across the city, and you're trying to, I think, turn power back on in places because like an evil spirit or something got it. And I unfortunately can't remember the name, but it was a very, very, very fun indie game I reviewed about 8 years ago. I just can't remember the name, but I do remember Kingsbird, and that's usually the one I'll tell people to get. That is just, I don't know. It was just fantastic at the time. Probably plays like a fucking Sega Genesis game now. I mean, I have no clue. You know that can go, right? Where you're like, dude, he said it was good. And it's like, well, it was good back then. Next up, we got... we talked about that. I'm stuck on deciding which console to get for GTA. This is Sully. I'm stuck on deciding which console to get for GTA 5. I have a PS5 Slim and Xbox Series X. I do like the DualSense features and the Tempest audio, but I've always liked the Xbox ecosystem. Both consoles will be locked at 30, so I'm not worried about performance. Am I reading too much into this? No. Comfort is number one. You like the controller, get the system with the controller you like, right? Can we just agree on that? Because otherwise, it'd be like saying, I really like VR, but I hate wearing this baby-sized headset. And it's like, well, then you don't like VR because you're stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was an easy one for you, buddy.
I think also, like, just a quick question. Do you think performance will be significantly different between the two consoles? Or is it fair to expect them to be pretty much on par?
They're
Xbox
pretty much
Series
on
X.
par. There's like the one change of the CUs on the Xbox and the speed
Pro's
on the
a bit
PS.
stronger. Right?
Pro's a bit stronger, yeah. So sorry, I was talking about the bases. Yeah, so Pro's a bit stronger.
Yeah.
The big problem that occurs, you see it occurring for sure in video cards, is that if a game is pushing everything, you can have something that is more powerful with zero impact, especially if, like, let's say you locked at 30. You may be like, there isn't much we can do. Maybe you can barely crank up. You can do another pass on, maybe your FSR is one step higher or something. And that's not even for sure. So it just all depends on what magic they're able to put together in that. But yeah, PS5 Pro will probably be the one, Well, weirdly enough, I don't know if you remember, when the PS5 Pro came out, there were games running worse on that than the PS5. And there was all those technical issues. I don't think that'll be Rockstar. I don't think they'll have that issue.
Yeah, no. But do we have access to Pisser with the base PS5, or is it only Pro? I think it might have been a Pro feature, no?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll
have to check that. Yeah.
A1 Nangle says, Happy Independence Day weekend from the British tyrants. God save the pod. What are the chances the PS6 will allow us to connect an external Blu-ray? Yeah, so that's what I said. That kind of stuff is super easy. I don't think anybody wants it. They'd rather have it internal, but there is the possibility of adding that. It's a USB device. We know they have the drivers. It's absolutely possible. If they do it, expect it to sell for a premium.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll have all kinds of caveats because it'll be external, most likely, with the games being the size they are. You're talking 2 to 3 discs for an install. Some normal games will be 1, just the way it is. Then it depends on how they pack it, depends on how big the NVMe is, and how your install, what steps your install goes through. It depends on what you want to be doing while you're installing. I definitely notice when I'm on the Xbox, if I'm playing a game, my downloads are way slower because it's actually using the same system, so you can't get that full throughput. So the Bug Guy says, be safe, everybody, on the 4th. Me and my fiance have been going and doing a budgeting this year, to get our finances aligned. I decided one AAA game every 4 months and on sale games in between, max of 25 without discussion. We were both beyond excited for GTA 6, and shockingly, we were very quick to surrender the game. Hearing the price, the lock's behind a paywall, no disc, and Sony quitting the disc soon. This isn't very good. Everyone has so many games on backlog. Do you think the industry is due for a bigger shakeup? With the economy right now, it seems impossible to keep up with everything rising in prices. I think GTA is going to sell no matter what. GTA could show up on some Melba toast covered in human shit, and people would still buy it. GTA is not even on the same spectrum as everything else. But yeah, we're for sure in the middle of a massive switch. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think in fact they would sell pretty much like the same number of copies, regardless if they priced it at, let's say, 60, 70, 80.
Yeah.
You know, once you start to go higher, then of course, you would sell marginally less as you go higher. Yeah. But I think it makes sense to me that they are selling at a slightly higher price, because I can't think of many people who would say no to the game because of the 10 extra bucks there. So yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think,
but like you said,
shitty.
Doesn't apply to
it doesn't. I just think they're shitty add-ons. I just think locking stuff out doesn't make any sense. You add for a premium, you don't lock stuff out. That'll be your best bet. I don't mean it hasn't happened, and I don't mean there haven't been good games that have done it. I just mean if I was running a company, I'd be like, well, what are we doing here? Why are we locking people out of a mechanic? Like, and it's also difficult to know because they haven't been super clear even on what like customs. Does that mean all customs in the game are locked behind this? Like, that'd be ridiculous. Like, that's a major part of the game. So we need to see it. But I think that kind of stuff, I agree. I think, in all honesty, I want to get stuff that other people can get, but I get earlier or whatever if you're going to do that. I also think they could have pleased everybody or had far less of a bitching if they did 3 days early access. Just do it.
Yeah, or just maybe some skins. I don't mind if you get some exclusive skins that you can't get in the base game, as long as they are comparable. So as long as you can get some cool skins by playing the base version of the game, you know what I mean? So it's not like you look like ass, but when you play the base version, and the only way to look cool is
suddenly you're a fucking Navy
premium
SEAL.
Yeah, right. But just like additional skins, more varieties, more colors, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I wasn't. Just because I don't like the idea if you can't get it. I'm not saying I would not get it or whatever. I'm just saying if I had my druthers and I ran the company, the best way to do it would be 3 days early. That's just the way you do it. And you're done. I don't even like 3 days early. I'm just saying that would have been like, okay, everybody gets everything, but if you pay early, it's like you're going to the midnight show because you were smart enough to get the tickets to watch it at midnight on a Thursday or whatever instead of everybody else on a Friday. That's fine. I don't love it. That's fine. Just do it that way. But instead, what they did seemed really weird. Admittedly, let's all be fucking honest here, man. Rockstar lied like a fucking bandit when they were talking about what was going to be in GTA 5. And they saw how online worked, and they were like, well, nope, no single-player DLC. We're moving this around. We're doing this.
Oh, yeah?
It's not like they're perfect. You know, they're not any great savior. They make good games, but as a company, I don't think they do anything that's like magically better than anybody else. I don't think. Yeah, no, they don't. Rusted said, the slow death of physical video games had me reminiscing about childhood trips to the video game store, reading the manual back to front on the journey home. My lack of access to the internet at the time had me choosing my games based on the cover art alone. I have 2 questions. 1, what is your favorite video game cover art? 2, when's the last time you purchased a physical game? Love the pod as always. So, number 1, what's your favorite video game cover?
I have a very specific one. It's Final Fantasy X, because like I mentioned to you that other time, like they had such a jump in cutscenes and stuff, and that stuck with me a lot. And it looked great. Had this like cool graphic on the cover. PS2 era, definitely. Yeah, probably the most memorable. Any for you that stick up?
Yeah, trying to see some of mine. Probably Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega. Probably Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Genesis. I liked their darker colors with the black and blue squares at the bottom. They did the hex grid that they took from the Sega Master System and they moved it into the Genesis. It was almost like a Tron-like thing that they had sort of a grid pattern on all their game boxes, and it was attractive. I was going to say Altered Beast, but after a while, the more I looked at that art, the more I was like, it felt off in some way. Might have just been to get it on the cover, they had to adjust the character stance. So I would say Ghouls and Ghosts, Sega Genesis, possibly. I'm trying to remember what Mass Effect 1's, because I don't remember that art, so it must not have grabbed me on the cover.
I feel like a lot of them are a bit forgetful.
Yeah.
Like the steel case ones can be beautiful. I have a Red Dead Redemption 2 steel case.
Right.
It's beautiful in the red. I have a Sekiro one, also beautiful with the Japanese letterings over the white and everything. Yeah, I like that type of stuff.
I've got my answer, bar none. I knew we had been asked this before, and I knew I was going the wrong way with my answer. The moment I was like, there's something that's bothering me. The best art I've ever seen, ever, has nothing to do with
GTA,
game.
Lollipop Girl.
No, but you are sort of close. There is a 6 degrees shooter where you're on airspace bikes during the Quake Unreal days. It was called Forsaken, not Forspoken, Forsaken, and it had a half image of one of the most, to me at the time, beautiful brunette women I'd ever seen in my life. A sweaty, I'm just going to be honest, a sweaty woman with a tattoo of a heart that I believe was pierced by a dagger or shot through. And that's it. Now I knew what the game was already, and that really had nothing to do with the game, but it didn't matter. I saw that. I remember it was like that time where it's hard because I don't know if everybody gets this.
It was the sweat, be honest.
I don't know, but I do know that when I was this is why I was saying everybody's had this. Sometimes you'll see somebody in a movie or a pictures seem to do it for me because of the color and maybe the static part of it. But where somebody's so beautiful that you get weird feeling, where what the fuck?
Yeah, 100%.
And for some reason, I remember seeing that cover in a magazine, going, "What the fuck is that?" And it was just, it caught me. And then I love the game too. The game was I absolutely played the fucking hell out of that game. So it was two things that came together finally as one. And occasionally I will go look for that cover and be like, what do I remember about this?
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm glad I had
that with the lady in Blade Runner, the more recent one.
I think Anna de Armas.
Anna de Armas. Yeah. She was so iconic in that way as well. Just always remember that.
And then when was the last time you just a physical copy of a video game?
Yeah.
Not too long ago. It's been a while for me too, but not super long ago, because I'll buy, if I can't get a digital code, I'll buy them and then give them to people.
Yeah. Sometimes Amazon is flat out cheaper than, anything else for me. I think Final Fantasy 16 is the last one I got in physical.
Horizon, I've got fuck. I can see those, but I can't tell. I feel like it actually hasn't been that long ago, but I believe it wasn't new. I believe I was buying something that had broken. The case had broken. So I bought the game again so I could have the case versus the game, if I remember right. It's been a while. I say that, but it hasn't been a while. It's been a while since I had a memorable purchase. Also, I have difficulty with that because I only have my PC. I had a Blu-ray device in it, for maybe the first year I had it, and Blu-ray on the PC is a disaster. There's issues with like, the players and all kinds of things, getting things to play exactly right. Not nearly as almost easy as a console is. So the only really player I have is the consoles, and for the most part, I open those up, and the moment I start thinking of putting a disc in, I find out that a streaming service has it. So I'm like, okay, well,
yeah.
So I have a shit ton of DVDs and Blu-rays that I don't use and probably never will, and watch the streaming version because I can start it in 0.0 seconds and just be good to go. But
yeah, that's what I noticed too, that like box sets are also not going to be a thing, because even if you can buy them, where are you going to play them if your console no longer has a Blu-ray? Right now my PS5 is the only device I can use to play my box sets.
And I do like box sets because I love the main menu that's got 6 or 7. Now, admittedly, every streaming service has the same thing.
I think that's where we're going. That's just going to be a romantic thing from the past. There is something nice about the bulge on, that sounds wrong, the chunky like box with the discs in that's on your shelf. Every now and then you look at it and you go, dude, yeah, I loved Fringe. It's there. There is something about that we will
I'm going to be honest. I use them. I don't think they even look nice. What I use them for is to remind me to watch a show.
That too. Yeah.
So I'll be walking by.
Great.
Yeah. I'll be walking by and see like Threshold on the edge, and I'll be like, oh shit. And I'll run back. I have it right there. I could put it in, but then who knows if this DVD is going to run anymore, because I do definitely have some pretty bad. So now
you just go to whatever service directly.
I rewatch it. Yeah. I think the big thing for me that I miss that they don't do as much, they still have them occasionally, but they're not put together as well, is the BTS scenes, the behind the scenes. I would watch Blade Runner come out, and they're like, okay, here's 60 minutes of talking with the developer and Blade Runner. I'll be like, this is the greatest thing ever, man. I love the behind the scenes of stuff. It's like, oh, here's a stunt. Here's how we did this. And if I can find that shit, I love it. Love it to death.
Yeah.
Let's see. Not even the same Rockstar 2. Yahtzee says, why is there only 2 podcasters lately? 3 is good, 4 is better? Well, I mean, Silver literally is ill. So he only comes every 2 weeks. Right? Every other week. Let's see. And he's been ill for like 6 months. It's weird that you notice that there's only 2, but you didn't notice that he's talked about it a ton of times. The main concern with the $100 edition is it's in shops in the open world trying to entice us to spend more. Entice you. Control you. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 for the PS2 was the last game they bought. Oh, damn. Trying to see if they're talking about what I was talking about with the picture. Somebody says. No, must not be. Final Fantasy VII Remake for me. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 for me. My Blu-ray for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles also has the R-rated version. Yeah, that kind of stuff was always good. Yeah, but I just miss the behind-the-scenes documentaries. They're my favorite things, man. I love to see how a movie does whatever magic it does, even if the movie's shit, man. Like if there's a behind-the-scenes for, well, I say shit, but I love this movie. But like the ancient Flash Gordon movie, I would be there day one. Be like, dude, let's see if you guys knew this was shit. I definitely love that too. Like you get a behind the scenes for a movie that cost $11. You're like, how did Sharknado get a behind the scenes? Like, and what are they going to show other than a CGI of sharks in a tornado? But I love that stuff, man. There's something great about it. I like documentaries anyway, though. I'm just a documentary freak for pretty much anything. What else do we got? Any other newsos? Yeah. Forsaken Remastered. That's the one, Necro. I saw your post. For some reason, that chick when I was young, he put it in general in the Discord, Johnny.
Oh, let me take a look.
For some reason. And they fucked up the picture because they faded her, so you can't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's not as, and it was less of her face, I think, but there's something about her face that, like.
Yeah, I can see that.
When I was, oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, especially growing up,
She did that weird thing where, like, you get that warm, like, where you're just like, oh my God. You know, like what? Like not even I want to bang, because that wasn't even the thought. There was some where like you just see somebody. I remember I had a crush on my my uncle's. So what would she be? My uncle's wife, his second wife. What is that? I guess what is that? A step aunt? Your aunt, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Step something, step aunt. When I was like 6 or 7, and my parents used to always tease me about it, but I remember even at 6 or 7, there was something about she was just absolutely gorgeous. Just one of the most gorgeous people. Like even as a kid, you see somebody, almost like you'll hear somebody, like there'll be times where a kid sees an angel or says like, oh, she looks like an angel or something like that. I think that's sort of where I was at that point. Yeah, she was awesome. Carrick is a gooner. I am a gooner. I beat the fuck out of people. Or do you mean the current use of gooner? Or do you mean the newest use of gooner? Or do you mean the old use of gooner? Slang sucks balls. I was the same with Star Wars and Raiders. Loved them back in the day. Oh, dude, yeah, rewatching Indiana Jones. So fucking sexy.
Yep.
God damn, I love those movies. And I like them all, too. I'll watch the shitty ones, not because I'm like, oh, they're great, but because I just like Indiana Jones. Even if there's a couple cool parts and adventure. That, like, The Mummy. I watched all the Mummies. I love The Mummy. I love those movies. I love those movies. I
can rewatch those.
Dude, roll some hair onto Brandon Fraser to fix his, his baby doll hair
he's got doing going it, isn't he?
Well,
he's like working out to go back.
Yeah. But I mean, is it going to be like they handled the last 2 movies where it's his kid and stuff? I just want to see Brandon Fraser just like Halo. I don't need to know why the Covenant are after me. Get Master Chief killing people on a Halo and I'm good. It's the same thing with Brandon Fraser. Get him and Rachel Weisz out there, her with the darker mascara, humanly possible.
Oh,
because goddamn. I mean, goddamn.
That look.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Dude, damn.
That was a generational.
It was 3 puberties in a 2-hour period, man, where you're just like, what the 100%. Fuck? And even in the first one, you're like, oh, damn. But in the second or third, they vamped her up a little bit and made her sort of badass. And I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on here? God damn. And I would just rather have them come back, even if she's like, well, she's not ancient. I just saw a picture of her. She definitely mother age, but it would be like, I would just like to see them out there doing shit, I mean,
for sure.
Like to me, I don't need all that kind of stuff. I don't need the story, like that overall, like where's the story going? In fact, I would say John Wick gets progressively worse the more they try to tell more story. And suddenly he's fighting a blind guy with a cane on an endless flight of steps in the last movie. And you're like, dude. And by the way, I love John Wick, but come on.
It was at its best when it was just a dog revenge plot. Like, killed my dog, you were fucked.
Yep. Yep. I love that. And you could do it if they killed a friend, too. I would be fine with that. But yeah, the first one was that pure...
There is something about animals, right? That we kind of feel it more. In a way.
Dude, I'll tell you this. A weird thing about that points that out is I know a lot of people who over the years have lost an animal due to neglect or something. I don't know them personally. I'm saying you hear these stories. But when you see them lose the animal, they're heartbroken. And you're like, listen, you're not. It's almost like a bad parent. You may love that, but you're not doing your job taking care of it. So I think the animal thing is super primordial. It's super, super like alpha, might beat up the runt dog. But if you come into my fucking area and you fuck up the runt dog, I'm going to beat the shit out of you and chew your face off. And there's something that pays off in that movie where, and he only has a dog depending on how the movie sort of feels like it plays out time-wise, he's only got the dog a day. Or like a day and a half. So it's, and it's just that primordial. When you see it happen, you're like, fuck you. And what's funny is you'll lie to yourself and say it's okay. You'll be like, that dude will throat people. He will break people's necks. Shot 600 people, caused 1,000 car wrecks. And you feel like if a cop caught him and they said, what are you doing? And he's like, they shot my dog. The cop would be like, all right, John. But seriously, you got to finish it up by 11, man, because streetlights will be on. We got to get you home. And he's just like, okay.
I feel like
it's ridiculous, but it works.
A jury would would be on his side. Would be like, no, we get it. They killed your dog. You, as a result, killed 55 people. We're good.
So stupid. And I don't have kids, and I'm sure people feel the same way, obviously, about kids. We have 1,000 movies of a kidnapping and the bodyguard goes, finds him, whatever. It's just the way it is, yeah. But there's something about a dog who's just like, hey, what's up? And somebody's like, bang. Yeah. Dude, you'll see it in movies. Narcos, they do it. In Narcos, one of the narcos is with another narco. Neither one of them good guys. And the narco gets a dog that's supposed to be able to smell drugs. And it doesn't smell the drugs that are impregnated into the paint of the boat. And he's like, haha, you owe me $200 because they made a bet. And the guy whips out his revolver and kills the dog. And even the other narco is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, even though these are guys that have killed other people.
Yeah.
It's the
even
understanding.
For them, that's a line.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was a line. Yeah, it was. And even from then, it was a line for me where I went from like, oh, you know how the crazy guy, like you look at the Joker and you're like, sure, he's a murderer. He's killed a bunch of people. He's fucked up the town, caused $1 trillion worth of damage. But hey, he's funny. But then when he kills somebody, you're like, fuck that guy. Crush his nuts. I want to kill him. You know, like people can get away with a lot of stuff. But once they sort of cross that line. But anyway,
then
back
again,
to Mummy.
Batman,
I don't know where we went.
Batman killed a lot of people. Especially like the Ben Affleck version. Like he killed a bunch of
I think Batman, I think they still lie and say Batman cripples a lot of people and leaves them invalid and the state taking care of them. Because I feel like
let's go over some of the footage.
Dude, I
some
think
people
Gotham's
have gone
health
through
insurance,
walls.
Their health insurance has to be super high in Gotham because there's a lot of people who are invalids in beds shitting themselves into colostomy bags because he didn't kill them. Like, in fact, I would say it is almost worse where like you'll see it and you'll be like, dude, now I think you're just a torturer.
Crippled forever.
Yeah.
In medical debt.
In the game, hits him with a tank that's electrified. Like at some point you're like, electrification is bad. Tank is bad. He's like, dude, I got a tank that's also electrified. You're like, okay, now you're just a torturer. You're not even a murderer. You're a torturer. Yeah, but I love him. I love it. I'm still totally fine with it. I wish Superman did it more. I think it'd be hilarious if Superman just took people up about 30 feet and let go. Like, that's how I'd kill all my bad guys. I just, you fly up just enough to cause a critical damage, and then you just drop them. You don't even have to fight them. Just take them up, drop them, crack. Take them up, drop them, crack.
I don't think that would go well, PR-wise.
It'd go well for me. I mean, there's a lot less work. Look at Spider-Man. Every single problem Spider-Man has is because he won't fuck people up. Prison break. Oh, really? Of course there's a prison break. But you're Spider-Man. Throw them. Just a ways. Like, just enough to make them so they can never walk again. And they don't know what's going on around them. They just smile.
Yeah,
like
because
a person in a
every
bad
single
car wreck.
bad guy he's ever beaten comes back over and over.
Every time.
Like, come on, bro.
Every time.
At some point, you should learn.
Let's see.
Nip it in the bud,
It depends on who's Batman. Yeah, it's always going to depend on that. I think. Remember Spider-Man? I mean, technically, in the Tobey Maguire one, he kills the guy. I mean,
sure.
The guy, he finds the guy with the stuff, and he basically kills him. So you're just like, Spider-Man can kill too. So why can't Superman? Dude, I'd just fly around at full speed, flying through enemies as Superman. Some dude's doing a drug deal and just evaporates like the starting of The Boys when the chick gets turned into nothing but mousse and molars.
Say, that's more The Boys.
Flipping through the air. People be like, what the fuck's going on with Superman? Be like, I couldn't stop. But I could stay good. I think I could stay good. I wouldn't do it to everybody. But like if somebody was a criminal, rapists, child molesters, like stuff like that, I'd be like, dude.
Whoops. Yeah. Tossed you off the
Take them up above their house and drop them onto the chimney at like 70 feet, And if you make it, maybe I'll come back. Like, look, Santa, maybe I'll come back in a year. Try it again. If you leave me cookies, maybe I'll just drop you from 50 feet. What else do we got? What else has been going on in gaming? What else has been going on in life? It's hot. I'm tired. I didn't sleep. It fucking sucks. Gaming's having all kinds of issues. Is there anything even positive about this world right now?
Wow. I mean, that's pretty deep. I saw a couple of cool science news. Did you see that they found a potentially habitable kind of super Earth planet.
What was it, 18 or 28 light years away?
Something like 25 years light years away.
Yeah, closer than normal.
And
I did see that.
It's the system it's in is a red dwarf sun.
Yeah. Red dwarf.
So it's this beautiful, red dwarf. And I think it's maybe like twice the size of Earth, but potentially habitable is what they said. I'm looking up the name of the star. Gliese.
Gliese?
The name of the
is
star.
It Gliese or Gliese? Yeah.
Gliese, probably. So that was cool. Always cool to see those. And
did you see that they found go ahead.
No, you go.
Did you see the Ark? They found another giant structure that's impossible, which I thought was pretty cool. So the Ark is the one that's, I can't remember what constellation it's off of, but it's billions of galaxies that are in an arc that are gravitationally attracted, which technically shouldn't be possible with our understanding of gravitation. It's too big, but it's there. And so they've been focusing on it, going like, man, how did they get like I'm a firm believer that if like the universe explodes, it looks almost like a nuke at slow motion, where if you watch a nuclear explosion, an atomic explosion, you see globules. It's not perfect. You see it like it's almost like gelatin exploding. You see these cells sort of create. So I'm like, okay, seems to me that when things explode, that might happen. But then this week, they found an almost perfect circle of a ring of galaxies, and it's really close to that one. But they had been looking at that one so close, nobody had basically focused and itemized each one of those stars. Those are connected. So now they're like, that makes quadruply no sense, because they're both over there, not affecting each other, and they're too big to be affected in any way, shape, or form by gravity, which is, you hear that story about if two galaxies hit each other, almost no star, planets, or anything will even notice. They can go right through each other. But the gravity of the actual overall thing can adjust and whip things out. They just won't hit each other. Those are anti-proof of that. They're like, they don't make sense because they are fully like making an effect in that area and held together by gravity that is nowhere near powerful enough. There's nothing there to hold them. So, dark matter, dark energy, people talk about. Dude, I think the dark energy, I'm sorry, I feel like dark energy, Johnny, I feel like in 3, 4, 5 years, the dark energy thing's going to go the way of like ancient string theory shit. It's just like, we can't see it. It's nowhere. It doesn't make an effect in any way, shape, or form. But the only thing it does is it explains why we have the acceleration we have. And you're like,
yeah, I think it's just like a God of the Gaps situation.
It is.
We just don't have an explanation for it, and we put a name on it.
I'm saying it is like, I know. I'm just saying, if you look at all the other stuff they've found, there's been like 90 reasons why it exists. Black energy, or dark energy in particular, there's like six other things that they have attempted and said that could fit in the place of dark energy. So it feels to me like it doesn't have enough to cloy onto. Like at some point, somebody's going to be like, oh shit, we figured it out. Do you know they did prove that it's for sure not black holes, and it's for sure not asteroids. It's for sure not galaxies that are filled with debris. They did do some kind of weighting, where like they weighted sort of like, we can see how fast this spins. This is how fast. This is why these things work. And they were like, one thing we can guarantee is there aren't a series of black holes out there that nobody knows about. And that's what's causing these things. But also, isn't it, when I was a kid, I always thought a black hole is at the center of a galaxy. And that's what they're so big that they cause everything to spin around them.
Right.
Would you say that that's your thought process, or was your thought process? Because it's not right. Which I didn't know.
No, I don't think everything is spinning around the center necessarily in a galaxy like that.
But weirdly enough, they are. Wherever there is one, there's a supermassive. Wherever there's a supermassive like black hole, it is always at those galaxies. So it's right. So the belief was that it was like, you can't have one without, but now they're finding galaxies without them completely. And they're still spinning. And then also, we have a handedness in the universe, which makes no sense. Technically, galaxies should all spin 50-50 chance. If the Big Bang was symmetric, there would be zero chance of like all of the galaxies spinning to the right, or all of the galaxies spinning to the left. However, we have like 70-30. So there is for sure some reason that we have a handedness to the entire universe that we can see, which is to the right. And so I thought that was really interesting. I was like, I never put two and two together, but of course that makes sense. Like you would have
that's
sort of like
why toilets flush to the right.
There you go. Or the other thing is like, if there was antimatter and matter to start the universe, why is it that it's 1/60th or 1/6 billionth or something difference in antimatter versus matter? Like what happened right at the starting that antimatter lost a war and then just got its ass handed to it to where it's all matter, which I thought was really interesting.
I also saw that the Perseverance on Mars found some of the strongest evidence so far for like building blocks for life. And this would be kind of like in ancient times, so not necessarily now or anything. But they found like complex organic molecules and stuff that kind of are building blocks for life. So it's not like proof that there was life, right? But it's more like, listen, we can prove a cake was made, but we can show you there was flour and eggs, kind of deal.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, we learn something new every day. Except I feel like we just learned something new, and all that new shit is always like more shit I can't understand. We're at the point to where to understand half of the stuff we find now requires like a knowledge base that's higher than just somebody coming up to you and being like, yeah, it looks like black holes are a thing. Like, okay, I can understand the generalness of a black hole. Well, the idea of black holes, too, is like with the handedness of the universes plus this galaxy thing, one of the only ways it's described is if we're inside a black hole. And that the universe is inside a black hole, and what we're seeing is that the handedness is caused by that expansion that's in there as it collects data. And so basically, we would be inside a black hole, inside another universe's black hole, and just be black holes all the way up. Which that doesn't surprise me. It'd be weird, but it's like it is weird that like the galaxy's constantly expanding.
But
at
some point, there would be like the baseline reality at which there are no further black holes. Your basement,
unless there's infinity. I don't know. If there's a lattice,
I always struggle with that.
Well, the Fibonacci drawings, the sequences, I guess you could assume black holes would be like that, where just because we think of it as size, if the dimension itself is size constrained to itself, but nothing else, no other universes touch it, and in a black hole is the only place where these things can happen, then it wouldn't be bigger. It would be that galaxy's version of a black hole, but it would not spatially be bigger. It would just be the exact same size or wouldn't even have to be the same size. I also thought it was pretty crazy that we're able to literally measure the flatness of the universe and go like, are we in a flat universe? Are we in what is the saddle? What do they have? They have like 6 shapes that they thought it would be.
Yeah, the shape. You have the saddle, like the inverted saddle.
Yep. I always thought that was crazy. And they're now saying that like, for all intents and purposes, flat. Like it just, like it's right at the edge of having enough mass to be flat and having no real like curvature. But then they say it's infinite. And I'm like, well, if it's infinite, what if you went 1 foot farther and now you see the first bit of a curvature? Like an ant on a piece. Like what? So, but you know what I mean? Yeah. No, that kind of shit's awesome. I also love the idea of, dude, so the thing you were saying about finding life on Earth, on the other planet, I am so excited. Drones suck for the most part, right? They're used in war. They're fucking, airplanes are hitting them and shit. I fucking hate that. But on another planet, there is very few things as smart as like taking a rover, landing it, and having it let, drones go out, fly, come back, charge up, go. I just find that to be like one of the biggest. It sounds so small because it's like, well, you got a rover. We've already been able to drive on stuff. That's not the same thing. To think of the calculation.
Oh, no, you can cover way more.
Dude, it's mathematically
way more
like,
ground.
I don't know the math of it, but they are all drawing circles. Like, here's a circle of what the rover can do. And they go out and they're able to go this far. You quite literally, it's like, it's magnified by such a massive amount of what you can see and look at and you could map. I think Elon Musk talked about this in one of his interviews. He's like, you could map Mars with this many rovers. Do you know what the biggest problem with the rover on Mars is, man? It's not the battery power. It's not cleaning the solar panels. It's the fucking rotor speed needed because it's thinner air and the rotors explode. So when they were originally planning on putting rotor vehicles into Mars, they were blowing the rotors up because they had to spin like 3 times what they have to spin in our Earth, and they were trying to figure that out. And do you know one of the ideas? Dude, tell me this isn't fucking intelligent. It isn't, but it is, but it's awesome. The idea was, what if we just bring our own compressed air and it jets out under the wings? And I was like, dude, that's fucking brilliant. That's honestly brilliant. Not spin the rotors quicker, but it's almost like, I don't know if you've ever seen them. Some people put tires or chains on their tires, but there's a new system where it's a piston that comes down and it spins chains underneath beside the tire, and then the tire drives over the chain and gets traction anyway, so you don't have to put chains on your tires. And I was just like, that's the way that made me feel, where I was just like, dude, that's fucking brilliant, man. Like, you just...
Do you think drones can fly in the kind of the sparse atmosphere in Mars?
They're already flying now. We fixed the drone. I mean, they do have them. They have had them actually. Yeah, yeah.
We got flying stuff.
But it took them years to get the rotors to not explode right off the side of the body, because they do require a freakish amount of speed to eat up. You could do bigger, but size isn't even weight. Size is just size in something you're launching to Mars. And so there was a certain size limit that they could have. But I mean, imagine you get to a point to where, let's say, you have a small robot that can put them together or repair them. Just, it lands, battery check, rotor's bad, very specific spin, very specific two screws, take that off, replace it, and you just have this small ability for you to keep them going. Fuck, man. Like, that kind of stuff, that's where I'm excited. I mean, everybody can hate AI all they want, but I'm like, I fucking love the idea of that. Like, to me, that is magic. That is magic. Because then you could even do stuff like make it safer for people to land if we decided to land. Send drones early. Set things up.
Yep.
Drop stuff off. You drop a robot off that's very basic, but it makes sure that things are in a safe place and set up the easiest for a human who's going to land later, who's going to need to get underground. Like, what we need to do is drop a digger there, so that it can dig. I think they only need to dig a foot under the ground to stop most of the radiation. So, like, dig under there, put your shit under there so it's safer. Boom, you get a person there. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Let's set up a big balloon or dome under there.
I mean, if I was going to die, I'd go. Yeah, for sure. I'd be
if you had like terminal...
Yeah, if
terminal cancer.
They pretty much have stated that the first people who go there probably die just because the sheer difficulty of living anywhere for even a short period of time, especially there with radiation and the way it's all done. It's just, you could have one small accident with nowhere to escape. And then there's also the 6 months where the planet's so far away that, it's going to take you 4 times longer to get there. Yeah. But I mean, why don't we send shoot some fucking MREs up there and shit, right? Like, dude, I'd have a cannon in my backyard if I was Musk. I'm a trillionaire now. I'd have that catapult thing. Have you seen them launching satellites in the catapult out of Texas? That's pretty fucking crazy.
Whoa.
But they have, it's a centrifuge, and they're trying to get it they're trying to figure out how to get it just right. But if you do it at a certain spin, you really don't damage the materials at all, and you'll be able to launch things. And you could even just get it high enough to where when rockets turn on, you need barely any fuel. So, like, there's multiple ways you could do this. But you spin that up, fucking, I'd just be like, some shitty MREs. They could be like, expired. Who care? Get some food up there.
Yeah, true. Maybe we send all our death row people, and we have a colony of death row enjoyers.
I feel like we're not on the same page. I feel like that is not idea. Who I want to be on Mars.
Probably a bad idea.
Probably a bad idea, because knowing our luck, they'd be making fucking Mars prison hooch, and they'd figure out a way to live there, and then you got to figure out how to get them out of there. And
easy. You send only dudes. No hooch.
I mean, but dude, they make hooch out of tomato paste. anything that's acidic and can sit long enough. You ever seen
They'll
prison
make
hooch?
it work.
You ever seen that prison hooch and orange juice mixed up in a toilet and they let it sit and they drink it? Dude, my life's been bad, man.
Wow.
I've had bad times. I've had times where I'm like down and I'm like, dude, people are dying around me. This is fucking terrible. You're sitting there, you're talking to God. I ain't never mixing orange juice and ketchup in my toilet. That's another level,
Agreed.
Man. That's another.
That
If you catch me talking to you and you're like, what are you doing today? And I'm like, dude, and you can hear the echo of the toilet bowl. And I'm like, I'm just down here. I just squeezing some oranges into this fucking toilet bowl and putting some old ketchup in here.
That is when you know you've hit some type of,
That's the bottom. That's the bottom.
That is the bottom right there.
I don't think there's even a lower bottom. I don't think you can dig under it because that rock's too hard. You are there.
Exactly.
Even the devil is trying to push you up a little bit. He's like, come on. You're depressing people. The devil shows up and he's like, dude, you're depressing people down here. Fuck, man. You need to lift up a little bit. We're going to just push you back up. You come back down later. Johnny's been watching Ghost of Mars. Funny enough, that's a moment he said the prisoners on Mars. That's what I was thinking was Ghost of Mars as well.
Good plot for a movie, though.
Yeah. It was a terrible movie. Terrible. What else do we got? Terrible. Yeah, you don't watch it. Do we have anything else?
A couple of media things. So I've been watching Boston Legal, finally. It's great. Great show.
Danny
Craig. And highly recommended. If people haven't watched it and you feel like you missed the train, it's really not too late to get into it. It's very nice to watch. And I think it's aged pretty well, although it's very risque.
It's misogynistic as shit.
It's some stuff is borderline I wouldn't say that even to a very good friend under the right circumstances. But love the acting in it. The cast is great. They got great chemistry. Really enjoy it. And the other thing, I finished a book the other day.
Oh, damn.
I read a book called, let's see, There Is No Antimemetics Division.
It's a good book.
Weird name.
Yeah, it's a terrible name.
Have you checked it out?
Yes, and it's a very good book with one of the worst names.
Yeah, so bad. I struggle to remember it. I've never been that confused while reading a book because intentionally, they make it so you barely understand kind of what's going on. But some very cool ideas and some type of horror that I haven't read before, which is a lot about, I don't even know how to explain it, kind of a blend between the unknowable from Lovecraft stuff with more pure psychological, trippy horror. Kind of hard to explain, really. But the whole point is there are some monsters that basically have the superpower of removing your knowledge of them and of other stuff, and almost sucking your knowledge to some extent. And different monsters, different powers, and stuff going on. But I thought it was pretty cool and very, very upsetting at times. But good.
Interesting. I think I know what you mean by upsetting, actually. I would. So I like that. I also think it reminds me a little bit of House of Leaves. Did you ever read House of Leaves? House of Leaves. So House of Leaves is just it's just not in order at all. Pages will have you go to other pages. Will have writing on the corners of the page. It's like a crazy person did a diary in reverse backwards in a language that was translated back to English. It's really weird. But if you do read it all, it lets your brain put together the possible order. It's a very difficult read, even though it's championed by a lot of people. It's definitely a high stakes read. You really do have to pay attention. You just can't ignore it. But I like that one. I think it's good. I think it's really good. I like the idea of the aliens or the creatures being able to make you forget stuff. Weirdly enough, that fits. And I believe it was I believe there's some overlap here, but in Werewolf in Werewolf Rage or Werewolf the Apocalypse, which are the World of Darkness games, D&D games, which Vampire Bloodlines is created from, they have a thing that is basically humans are so primally scared of them that when they see them, they make up an excuse. So a shooter at a school might just be one of these Krynos fighting a vampire, but the human brain just absolutely refuses to see this core, exponentially more dangerous than anything the world has ever seen kind of thing. And I've always liked that. I like the idea of being able to do it with control like the creatures are, but at the same time, I think it can be confusing because at times I sort of like the idea of it's just sort of accidental. So some people might be like, you know, your sergeant at arms who's been to Nam is like, that was a werewolf.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so the kid is like, I don't know what it was. It was a ghost. There were a bunch of people. There was a bunch of Crips and Bloods came in here and shot everybody up. And, you know, that one military guy everybody thinks is crazy is like, that was a magic user fighting a werewolf. I watched it, you know, because it's called the Masquerade in Vampire, by the way. So there's the Masquerade is the purposeful one that they employ. The mage have their own, and the werewolf have theirs. I love that stuff. I think it's a good book. Did you ever do the Laundry Files?
No.
Okay, so you should check those out. It's where a guy works at like Delta Green or not Delta Green, but he basically works at a company that is involved in the Cthulhu. But it's a tiny bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a tiny bit goofy too. It's not Carl Craver, Bob Zombie or whatever, that guy who fucking Dungeon Crawler Carl. Is that what it's called? It's not that goofy.
Yeah,
it's not that goofy. But a bunch of books.
Yeah.
I think it's by Strauss. I think his name is Strauss.
Charles Strauss.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Bum named, $5 super chat. I want to say how much I say this every time, but I actually do mean it. Huge thanks for the super chat. It does help the channel, especially right now. I'm not ignoring videos, guys. Shit's just, it's been busy. It's been busy. And you will see a review in the next couple days. Pacific Northwest lurking. Where are you lurking? Like, where are you lurking in the Pacific Northwest? Give me the general. Nah, don't give me the city. No, don't worry about it. I always feel uncomfortable saying, like, what city that, like, they think I'm going to show up.
Yeah.
Just outside their house with some monster. Be like, dude, you're
Speaking of hide and seek, it got me thinking playing that game, the hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to, for your life, right? So if you got caught, you're dead, okay? Where in your house, without revealing any personal details, but where in your house would you hide if your life depended on it?
And people would be there forever? Is that what you said? Or they're just searching
No,
the house?
maybe they're just like looking around the house and then they will leave, you know, if they don't find you.
We have two trick doors in our house, and then two ones that go to the same space but are cut off. So imagine a basement where one door looks like you're going to the full basement, and then you go to another door and there's a sub basement there that the main basement can't see at all. Not basements, because we can't have them, but I guess you would say cellar. And then we have the same thing in our attic. So probably our attic has also got a massive chimney. Oh, we don't use the fireplace at all, but it's a massive chimney that behind it has a gap that, I mean, it's basically where I would check if I thought murderers were coming. Because, like, I feel like they would be hiding there. So,
yeah,
that's where I'd. Servant Berserk, $5 super chat. Sorry, Carrick, I'm joining the VOD gang today. Got busy with Anime Expo LA. Happy 250th birthday, United States, and fuck zone.
Oh, that was a drive-by.
That was a drive-by. He's like, oh, good job, everybody, and fuck you.
Fuck those guys.
Fuck you over there. I like all you guys in that group, but you right there, fucking hate you. Yeah, thank you very much for the super chats. What I was talking about was, the books. I was saying I also finished Backrooms Adjacent book, which is pretty good. I finished Derelict 1 and 2, which were good. They were both audiobooks. I chose the audiobook. They're books. And really good. idea for a story. So basically, dude, I really like this. I had my AI agent. I was just like, hey, you know what? These are the things I like. Can you help me out and come up with something? And it's like, you should check out these books called Derelict. Basically, every single story is a derelict spaceship that a reclamation crew, different ones, go to, and there's a mystery on the ship. And I got to tell you, it sounds like it's not connected like you would think, but it's connected by the terror of well, I mean, I don't know. I could say it's not connected. Maybe it is. Maybe when I get to the end, we'll find out these derelicts, all these mysteries are connected. But, dude, it's fantastic. And the audio is awesome. The other one I got, and I'm into now, I believe it's, I can't pronounce his name, the Deus Ex voice actor, Elias. It's not Elias, but you know who I'm talking about. The guy who's got yeah. There's a audiobook called Fathom. And I started it 2 days. It's an audio drama. I started it 2 days ago, and I've eaten that fucking thing up, man. So basically, it's about like Sphere the movie, where we're doing work underwater in a super deep place and we find something weird. And then it turns into like, what's the game where you stomp people, the aliens in the head? Dead Space? Dead Space. So it's like
Space.
It's like underwater, Dead Space, cyberpunk future. And that thing has been one of the best audio, but the audio is fucking insane. Like water drips and shit. So if you have your headphones on, listen to this. It's sad.
Oh,
I
nice.
had my tablet on, and my wife heard the drips and looked at the door because we have a leak in our fucking kitchen, and she thought the leak had somehow got to the door. She was like, I'm like, no, that's the audio in this thing. So they must be using really good spatial audio. Fucking phenomenal. And I got it for free on, I think I looked it up on Kindle, got it from Amazon. But anyway, I didn't pay, and I don't think I used a credit, so it might be free. But if anybody likes that kind of stuff, Derelict and Fathom, dude, if you're on a drive somewhere, you could just turn Fathom on and just disappear. It's fantastic. Flynn Bowden, $5 super chat. Congrats on 600. Always enjoy the pod and the Discord chats. Cyberpunk hit 40 million copies sold. Look, oh my God, I didn't know it was you. Looking forward to a sequel. Hashtag child stompers. Man, that was a discussion. You know the discussion I told you we had where it started with prolapse things? It also involved me saying a sentence backwards. And it's sounding like I said I like to go around the city stomping children when I was saying if I noticed that a child consistently stomped or hurt animals, they would be a bad person. But everybody in the chat thought I meant that there was like a serial group of child stompers out there. They're like adults. And we were like, nobody's going to understand this conversation. No one's going to get it. I was like, hashtag child stompers. I appreciate you jumping in here. That put a laugh. That put a laugh in me. Red Rising is a good book. Yeah, Red Rising was good. Red Rising changes between books, which I hate. Sometimes that happens, though. You get that first book, and then you get the second book, and you're like, dude, what happened? Did the author die? Is this a ghostwriter? You know? Yeah, you should check out Fathom.
I listened to the first one. Red Rising.
Yeah, me too.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's about it from me. Yeah, not too much else. Doing some Lego on the side.
Yeah, what's your side projects, man? We don't talk about that as often as we used to. So Lego is one of them. What's everybody's side project in chat? Go. And it's got to be a good one. Don't say masturbation, because we all do that. Well, unless you're married and then she does that. Not always. But anyway, yeah, Lego. I've been doing cleaning, dude. I've been like HDMI wires that are like 1.0 fucking, got BC written on the outside, cracked and old.
I got like an entire rubbish bag, one of those black bags, of like cables. And somehow I still have stuff, but I got rid of so much stuff that I was clearly never going to use. I don't know why I was storing it.
It feels good though, man. It does. Yeah. Like there's something to, you hear somebody say like spring cleaning. There is something about like, and sometimes I'll rebuy this stuff, but there's something airy about things that you know are just really sitting there, and maybe you make some money from them, maybe you just donate them, but there's something very, it feels unencumbered. You're like, oh, wow. Even if it's not, I'm not talking about bad stuff. I'm talking about just a pile of books or the debris that we see in life. Dude, have you ever walked, your house is pretty clean, but as somebody who has 4 dogs, and with my job, my area can for sure get messy. I hate going out, dude. So I'll go to a fucking B&B, clean, spick and span, eat off the floors, just don't use a black light on the headboard, but you're like, this is a safe place. This is a safe space. This is amazing. And then I come home, and for the first 5 minutes, disgusted. just outraged at the filth. Like, there'll be a hairball on the corner from one of the dogs, be like a spider in a corner because we leave the door open in winter or in summer to air it out or whatever. Dirty dishes. It's so, dude, it's been bothering me lately. I'm like, I don't know. Like, do I need to live the old way? Because the old way I lived, you couldn't tell somebody lived there. But like now, I can see why people with kids just give up. One of my friends was like, when he had kids, he was like, we're done. We're going to make sure nobody can die of dysentery. Like, there's not going to be feces on the ground. But he's like, you got a kid running around 24/7. Shit's going to...
Yeah.
Like, your house is not going to look the same. And I'm with 4 dogs, I can tell you. I'm like, it's not the same, but...
Can't keep up. Yeah.
Nah, dude. Doesn't look the same. Do you do a spring cleaning? Or do you... I try to clean up all the time. I try to, like, pick up all the time so I don't have to do the big one.
More like that. I do have a cleaner that helps me as well with, like, deeper cleaning and stuff every now and then, every couple of weeks. And then the thing I did the other day was get rid of a lot of clothes I wasn't using. So I just donated a bunch of stuff.
That's good.
It's the kind of thing where you get attached, so you don't want to get rid of, I don't know, it's a hoodie or if it's, shirts and stuff. But then you realize, bro, I haven't used that in years, and then you start to pick those up, get rid of them. I got rid of another bag of just those things. So yeah, it's pretty cool because then it opens some space for you to say, let me get a couple new shirts, throw it in there because now you have the space. And yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I have that all the time. I'll open up an entire drawer and be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why is this? If I put this on, I'm going to look like Nico from fucking GTA. It's like a sport with a stripe. It's like popped collar. Like, I guess I wouldn't be bothered by that. Well, I wouldn't wear it, but I mean, a collar. But it'll be like the one that looks like a European terrorist with the running jacket that's out there with the sniper rifle. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck do I? And then, weirdly enough, though, I'll throw it away. And then a year later, I will end up sometimes buying some of that stuff again. I'll be like, and then sometimes wear it. But I'm like you, where cleaning out I have to clean out ours because it's 2 people. And then also I just have to sometimes fold the shirts and put them in my drawers and stuff because we don't have enough hangers. And I like to hang stuff. I've always been a believer that, like, the hanging is probably 40% of the freshness of a shirt's feel and smell. Because even the shirt is clean, it's been washed with, it's dried, it's everything. You put something in any kind of container for a period of time, and it's got at least to me, it's got a I've been in a container smell. Whether it be plastic, if it's a plastic wood container, or just clothes that need to be rewashed. But hanging them is great. There's something that to me is cathartic about hanging, and I hated it when I was a kid. My dad was like, "You have to hang everything." Like, he was huge into taking care of that stuff, and I appreciate it. I didn't when I was a kid. Like, I appreciate how to use an iron, because a lot of my friends can't use an iron, and fuck, you can tell because they look like an origami got stepped on when they show up at my house. I mean, they'll be like, their clothes are so wrinkled that they can't move right in them, and you're like, damn, dude, you need to iron that bitch. Oh,
yeah, I'm starting to have to get into ironing too, now that I have a few more shirts and not just like t-shirts kind of thing. Because as you say, they get just
there's
wrinkly
also a look to them, because you're usually getting the material to all go one way, like a carpet, where if you fluff it up, the carpet looks 10 times better than if it gets mashed down in one direction. So real quick, I'll read the rest of these. Red Rising. Okay, Red Rising is a good book. We got through that. My side projects are photography, content creation, and the endurance hobbies. Got a bike on the way. Oh, that's cool. Gardening.
Nice.
selling baseball cards, gooning. Maskarov says fucking around with AI at times, not really a side project, just when I can, using Codex. Running races makes you better at ditching shirts with how many race shirts you get. Yeah. Dude, I don't know if this is... you don't run. Do you bike?
No.
Have you ever ran or bike
No.
when you were younger?
I did when I was younger, but not now. No.
Dude, I'll tell you, straight up. You got to get the right shirt because them nips get sensitive if you're running
really?
long period. Yes. I was with my...
I never thought about the nips.
The shirt moving.
Friction.
Well, it depends on the material. I bought a cheap shirt one time. It looked like a nice running shirt, but it was pretty cheap. And we went... It was probably only... It wasn't very long. It was like 12 miles, which is long, but not compared to like somebody running a death race is what I mean.
It's a good long run.
It's a good long run. And I remember Wanda was like, dude, what is wrong with you? You're running in a weird position. Like she was fucking freakish. She was one of the craziest good runners for her age I've ever seen. And she's like, you're running weird. Sorry, my dog's getting excited. And I realized it was because the shirt was just bouncing enough and it chafes, man. It was so weird to have that experience. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Never even thought about it. And then when you lift weights, it'll happen. If you're doing like presses and stuff, that's why now you're seeing a lot of shirts specifically built around that, like super soft material, because it moves so much. Because sometimes you get people with really tight shit, that'll be fine. But it'll be uncomfortable. And
like
then
the Rock with the small size.
Is that painted
shirts.
on? Come on. Sometimes you're like, dude, I'm pretty sure that's painted on. Penty says, got to put Band-Aids on your nips or they bleed. That is absolutely real. Yeah. Yeah. I've never had to do that, but that was one of the warnings she gave me. She's like, if you're running a bunch of miles, and I have a bit of a hump to my run, a little too much up and down movement when I'm running. It's not good for the knees. I've always done it, though, and that'll make the shirt bounce or your balls. One time I ran without underwear. Dude.
Oh, man.
Dude. I just castrated myself. And it didn't even hurt when I was doing it, but I got home and I was like, man.
My God.
I feel like I got a strain in my... I think it was my belly button, where I was like, my belly button feels like maybe I pulled a muscle. I woke up the next day. I was like, my balls is aching, man. What the fuck? And it was because I put sweats on. We weren't running. I hadn't even thought about it. And I was like, damn. Yeah, you can't be swinging those babies. I mean, women have sports bras. Guys need to have a pair of undies. A lot of people try to run that way, or you see them running with no shoes. I have calluses. I can walk on fucking lava with my feet, and I would never try to run with no shoes. But I see it all the time. I see people running with, or they get the fake shoes, the feet shoes, that look like
that's a big
feet.
Thing, isn't it? Just
like hobbits.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that became a huge thing.
It became a huge thing, but I always think, is that hurting your Achilles or not giving you the bump back that you need, or that will aid you at least in running? But maybe,
they say like evolution didn't have shoes, so like we were designed to run this way. But on the same token, there have been some oversights by evolution. Like you said, we didn't have underwear back then, and our testes weren't ready for that level of up and down you were describing there.
Also, we're running on pavement and shit, which it means faster than maybe you would run on a trail. So maybe what seems like a foot needing to grab and get traction on a trail is a good deal different than a person running timed miles.
Yeah, totally
on a track.
Different.
Yeah, a different type of thing. But yeah, it's been it's definitely been really like an eye opener to see, especially here in Eugene, where you got the foo-fooest of foo-foos, and then you got the tech heads who are like, I got this shoe that's got 6,000% return. It's basically flubber in the heel of my shoe. And then, like pneumatics and shit. You're just like, you don't know what you're going to see when you go out. You literally will see people running in like what looks like whitey tighties. I guess you would call them like wrestling shorts. And you'd be like, dude, seriously, that's just not cool, man. Like, that's just, there's nothing to the imagination, nor do I want to imagine. So can we just put some shaggies on there, get something with a little bit more shuffle? I don't need to see your balls clapping together. Yeah, Eugene's crazy in that way. We have like a huge running group or a huge running like community, and they do all that kind of stuff. In London, what do? Just run from people trying to stab you? Do you guys have like Knife fights. You guys, do you guys have like, do you guys have running groups and like that run downtown London and stuff like that? Do you see them running?
No,
like
not
I
really.
do?
It's mostly gym. People just go to the gym.
Right.
Usually, you see people in the parks because we have a lot of parks, which is great. So you go in there, you do see people running, which is nice.
Yeah, I miss parks, man. I miss parks.
Parks are good.
We've got a couple big ones, but I'm always afraid I'm going to stub my toe on an AIDS needle or fucking.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, dude, they can get bad. Sometimes they're fine. Depends on the park. Other parks you go to, and you're like, dude, don't shuffle your feet. Don't shuffle your feet. Something be in the grass. And it could,
Better not sit on the bench,
No, I don't want to do that. Do people in Northern Oregon use umbrellas? Oh my God, are you chewing that seriously? Dog. That's no. Oh my God. Anyway, do people in Northern? So yeah, if you're on the coast and there's a huge wind and rain, yeah, I've seen people use umbrellas. We don't own. My wife owns one. Yeah, I would say for the most part they use umbrellas. But it rains a lot on the coast where I grew up. Like you're talking 85% of the time it was raining in Toledo.
Damn.
Like it was, yeah, you didn't have, it just happened to be that way in that area. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty rainy.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the rainy state kind of thing. I've never seen anybody down here use them. That's because it's extra weight and you got to run away from all the meth heads down there, man. You don't want extra weight when you're running from meth heads. I'd be shaking, fucking throwing clothes off too if I was down where he lives. I don't know. I'm just joking. It's not that bad. There's a couple towns though in Oregon that are like, you know how people go to ghost towns and take pictures? It's like here you would go to these towns and take pictures, but it would be to just be like, damn, this is a good, you show it to your kid and you're like, do you want to be like this down here in Pendleton? I'm just joking. The women here in the UK do a lot of running, mostly from Russell Brand. If that's not true, I don't know what is. We can end on that. That is absolutely true.
That's a good one.
That caught me by fucking surprise, but isn't it weird though that the name is not just that name? Some people won't know that person, but that when it is though, that's the joke. Like the name is the joke. Like that's the punchline is that they're running for Russell Brand. I'm assuming Charlie Sheen got some people running from him too at one time. Just saying.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. Boys and girls apparently. Anyway, we call it South Medford for a reason. Ooh. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. That'll be it for us. Thank you everybody for showing up. Thanks for talking about running. Thanks for having a good attitude about the shitty stuff. It is shitty, but and we talked about that. But it's also nice to talk at least about a couple fun games. I'm glad people are enjoying them. Johnny, what are you streaming Saturday?
Golden Times. I'm probably streaming, I think Sunday. It's going to be that Chameleon game I told you about, the hide and seek game. And yeah, we're just doing some community games like Among Us and stuff.
Copy that. And in the Best Family Discord, we will be streaming. I don't even know if we pay attention right now to games. It's mostly us talking for hours.
Only family friendly, no prolapse talk, guaranteed.
Dude, it's so fun. It's like the light of my life going in there. You just have no clue. And then Silverback, who we don't get to talk to, lots of firemen. And, born again hard kind of guy. So I love just asking him questions because I know the answers are going to shock people. So I'll be like, so what's the nakedest you've ever seen somebody who's like got a gun wound or whatever, just the weirdest shit? And he's like, well, let me tell you, I got 10. He's always got like 10 stories about what's happened. He was talking to us yesterday about they trained him on animal rescue, which I thought was cool. Like dogs in fires, getting the doggy mouthpiece on them and stuff. And I was like, dude, that's fucking sweet. Always interesting stuff with the patrons. Peace out, everybody. Don't die. Stay away from the heat. If you like it, you're weird.